And now, the main event, where tonight's entertainment is the review of entertainment. We like movies, we like television, and we like overthinking it. Introducing the podcast of critics.
Take it away, girly.
And welcome. I shouldn't have said that.
That was good. I liked the wind up on the and.
Oh, all right. And welcome to Podcast of Critics.
There you go.
We are back in the studio. It's Ashley, one of your hosts, and I'm here with...
The other one, Garrett.
That's what you're forever known as.
The other one. The other one. Yeah.
Comma, Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
We are back to talk about Ocean's 13.
The best one.
The best one. The most fun one.
I think so.
I think it's the funniest one.
Yeah. We were talking about how coming off of 12, which we were very lukewarm about. I was anyway.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
No, it soured on me. Like after talking
has.
about it, it's very much soured.
Yeah. But then coming into this one, it's just instantly fun. Where even leading up to talking about this, we're like, I'm having trouble keeping the plot straight.
Yeah, but aren't you just like hype about the friendship too?
Because I'm hype, right? And we talked this too. Is that you've harped on kind of the through line of these movies is the bromance,
right?
This is, I think, your big, great, beautiful focus.
I really like Friends, man.
You like the show?
Well, I like that too, but I also just like being friends.
Sure. Right.
I like watching friends do things because it's hard as a mid-range younger adult. Ooh, that's not good. I'm in my 20s, but I'm on the late side of my 20s where I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20.
Yes.
And I'm so upset about it.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to find things to do with your friends that we made this podcast.
Yes. As opposed to go out and committing heists.
Maybe we should have done that.
Because we'd be richer.
Yeah.
Or in jail, one of the two, you know.
High risk, high reward.
Right. We could end up rich or in jail from this, too, depending on what I say.
I don't want to be... Hey! Watch yourself.
Excuse me.
Please don't die.
I'm okay. But the bromance is the big thing that you've been alluding to throughout this whole series.
Yeah,
and it really,
I love it.
It culminates in this one, not just through Clooney and Pitt, Rusty and Danny, but through the whole 11.
Well, because it comes to the head here where we ride or die for ours. And it's...
Well, and noticeably, too, we talked about how, like, the women aren't in it. Julia Roberts and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
It's not their fight. It's not their fight.
Are gone.
It's not their
just
fight.
Just in case you thought it was their fight.
It's not their
fight. It's not their fight. Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah, they really let you know.
The rule of 3.
They're not in this movie, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's unclear because you had seen somewhere that it was because of...
They didn't like each other.
They didn't get
along. Yeah.
And then for here, I've also seen they weren't paid well.
It was a wage dispute.
With a little bit of like, we didn't get a significant enough role to, justify spending our time on this.
I can kind of see that because it is pretty crowded. 11 people to start with in the first one is already a lot of people.
Right. And then it grows every time.
Yeah, which is crazy nowadays with stuff like you got the MCU, you know what I mean? Where you got like 20 main characters in a movie or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Or do you remember Bohemian Rhapsody? Where there was the big dispute with that, where it's like it was Queen.
Yes.
But Queen, the remaining members of Queen were like, each one of us has to have equal screen time. So there was a nightmarish edit of that movie where like it would randomly cut to like a random band member
doing whatever
because they needed
whatever side quest because they needed the screen.
It's a Freddie Mercury movie. Grow the hell up. Put your ego aside. It's a Freddie Mercury movie, not a Queen movie. Grow up. Get over yourselves. But so I could see there being.
Well, so before we get into it, last time you had the criticism that 12 did not give us enough screen time of each character doing their things. Not necessarily of the actors, but of each character getting to specialize.
Right.
Do you feel, straight up before we get into it, do you feel that they got equal screen time this time? Do you feel like you know what everybody did?
Yes. Yeah, they go back to everything that worked in 11, if not do it even better and more. Maybe not necessarily more, but about equal. It like everything like they weren't doing in 12 that you liked them doing in 11.
Do you feel, I guess instead of more, how about depth? Is it deeper in this one than in 11? Do you think?
Would say, except for Yin. Yin is a weird one where I feel like he wasn't given as much cool stuff to do as he even was in 11 with his flips and stuff.
Yeah.
But he still has a moment here. They give him a moment.
Can we talk about the panic attack you had on his behalf? He did have enough flips. You just couldn't watch them.
It was a pretty significant. It did have an effect on me.
so he did. He did.
That's what I mean. He did have a moment. They each get a moment. But
Right.
it gets back to stuff like Saul being in disguise, Basher working on machines, the brothers getting into all kinds of hijinks. All those little things.
They are the fun ones. They are the fun ones.
This is the funniest they've ever been. They've always been background funny. They're main character funny in this one.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so plot, performance, production, that's the show. We use the plot to get to the performances and the production, and then we rate them at the end.
Yeah, and I'm relying on you to walk us through this plot because it is, although it is not as complicated per se as 12's was, we'll say, it is still there's a lot happening all at once. Similarly to 11, where the heist is just building up. Like 11, this movie starts immediately, and it does not stop.
It's a horrible decision, really, to trust me with this because I get excited about these, so I want to go on tangents. So we'll see how this goes.
That's fine.
All right, so we start off, opening scene, music before we open.
Nice little jazzy tune.
Always, as always, music before we even see anything. It's some dude, masked dude, just kind of prancing through a toy store. Through the toy store aisles, it's clearly closed. It's clearly dark. It's clearly some sort of heist.
Which, again, that feels like a bit of a joke.
Yes.
That it's a toy store. That's funny. It's like, what possible heist could you be committing in a toy
friggin' toy store?
Right. Getting that limited edition Buzz Lightyear. That's what.
Climbing through walls. There's holes blasted into walls. And then we get to a vault. It looks like a vault safe type thing.
There's like 2 or 3 other guys there waiting.
We're about to break the code to the vault, and the telephone rings, which wild to me because I never have my ringer on.
Yeah. Well, this is 2007, back when everybody had flip phone, which phones actually a pretty significant part of this movie. We'll come back.
This is true. And also, this is when we were trying to take things off of LimeWire for our ringtones.
Oh, true. So he did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Rusty didn't pay for that ringtone for sure.
No, absolutely not.
Guy like him?
Absolutely not. So anyhow, phone rings, mask comes up, and it's immediately Rusty.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh shit."
He gets some kind of bad news or something.
Some sort of bad news where he just kind of shuts the phone, looks around at the crew that's helping him rob this vault. That he's about to crack the vault.
They're at the end. They're at the end of whatever this elaborate thing was.
There was some sort of very intricate plan because there's multiple holes in the wall.
In a toy store again.
Similar to the Incredibles scene where the boss gets thrown through the wall. Yeah. And you have like all these people look through the wall. Same vibes because you like look through the hole and you see that there's multiple walls that were busted. And he just like, gotta go. And leaves.
Just bails immediately.
You don't know what he's leaving for. So you're like, all right, well, I'm in it, I guess. Where are we going? What are we doing?
Right.
Because it's Rusty.
This is the most like build up and suspense you get in this.
Yeah.
Is just this opening like, oh, what are they stealing? Who's stealing this? And then it's immediately thrown out the window and we move on to the actual movie.
Yes. So the next scene is the plane. Rusty gets on a plane with Danny. They start talking about, they immediately kind of bring up Isabel and Tess.
Yeah.
It's not their fight.
It's not their fight. Yeah. Danny lets us know, again, in case you're not listening.
It's not their
fight.
So then, but I don't know if you caught this, but it was a private plane. So we are clearly doing better than we have been, where we're not like down on our luck, but we're also not trying to act like we're completely normal either.
Yeah, they've elevated.
We're not trying to buy a small ass house in suburbia somewhere. We are on a private plane. You see, like
true, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So, anyways, get off the plane on the tarmac. Linus is waiting for the car. Immediately dismiss Linus as we have been. business as
He's
usual.
still the rookie. He's still the baby of the bunch.
Yeah, because they say, how is he? What's his condition? Linus spouts off an acceptable answer. I would have accepted that answer if I were in their shoes. Well, I don't know if I would have accepted it from Linus, so let me be for real. Allegedly, this person is stable. We still don't know who it is. He's stable, but he's not responsive.
Yeah.
And they immediately dismissed that, and they said Stan will know more. We'll just talk to Stan.
Yeah. Who is the doctor of Ruben? They cut to the hospital. Ruben's laid up in bed. We don't quite know how he got here yet.
Yes.
But
the other 7 are in the room.
Yeah, we see the entire 11 gathered around.
Yes.
Which is the other thing, the big contrast to me at this point, is you remember how 12 starts.
You have to go find everybody.
Where they find everybody, and even when they find everybody, they're not a cohesive unit or anything.
No, we're past that.
Basher has a line, or one of them has a line, where he calls himself a solo act, and it's just like, who calls us Ocean's 11? Who decided on that name?
Right.
They're not a team.
Yeah.
They all came together in 11, but that was just that to them anyway. It was a one-off, really good job. They went their separate ways.
Yeah.
And 12 opens. It's kind of this teeth clenched teamwork kind of dynamic they have at the start anyway.
Right.
By the beginning of this one, they've all shown up for Ruben. No questions. They're there, which again ties back to the through line of bromance. And which extends out to everybody at this point.
Yes.
Is they all have each other's back. They are
we ride or die in this family.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're there, and we start to, I don't know if they start wondering as to how it happened or somebody asks.
Somehow or another they find out.
But
I guess
it
isn't really explained how they find out.
Well, they're standing. Well, no, Danny knew the whole time, so I'm wondering if it's just Danny just spouts off into it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we flash back now to Ruben being fine and well. He had wanted to. He's talking to Danny at his house. Mm-hmm. Danny and Rusty. And
I think it's just Danny.
And he's talking to Danny about wanting to do this hotel casino on the Las Vegas Strip. So we're back in Vegas.
Which again is another thing that I think is kind of like a panic reset button they have going into 13, is that like they realize like, oh, people didn't like when we like left Vegas to go to Europe in 12. It's like people seem to let's just go back to Vegas.
We're in America, stay in America.
Let's just play it. But it does make me kind of wonder if we're not like so we didn't like going to Europe. Where else could we go? That would be fun. That isn't Vegas. I'm like, it makes me wonder like, well, what is, I don't know. They rob Fort Knox. They rob, I don't know. I'm trying. What are some other good ones?
I don't know where else to rob.
They steal the Declaration of Independence.
But that's always a good one.
Who knows? Yeah, it is kind of I am kind of drawing a blank of like, what else is more fun than
Vegas?
Than a casino? Yeah, but it.
But they did it to themselves, honestly, because in 11 we romanticized shots of Vegas.
Right. They painted too good of a picture of Vegas not to come back.
And then they didn't do it in 12. They did not give me the romantic shots of Europe in 12.
We talked about that, yeah.
And so of course I'm not going to like Europe. Especially because, like, having not been to Vegas, I have a full picture of Vegas from 11. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas I've been to Europe and you gave me no picture of Europe.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I like Europe.
You didn't hit any of the iconic movie parts of it. We didn't go to the Eiffel Tower. We didn't go to Buckingham Palace. Whatever.
You could have done London Bridge. You could have done the Tower of London.
They did pretty. They had pretty shots of Amsterdam.
You can do what is it? The London Eye.
The London Eye. Yeah.
You can do all these things, and you didn't do any of them.
And we have things like that here too.
The banking district. I mean, that would have been fun to hit. Actually, they could have hit like multiple banks in London.
Yeah, missed opportunity to just go after an egg in a museum.
A coronation egg.
Right.
Anyways. So, back to 13.
Yeah, but they play it safe by coming back to Vegas.
So, we're back in Vegas. Ruben and this guy who I didn't really recognize as Al Pacino. I don't know if you did.
Right, it's Al Pacino. As a kid, no. This was again, this is the first one that
because it's very different from like Scarface.
Yeah, no, it's a very much more kind of different. He's still kind of a mobby guy.
Well, no, but like I mean, like appearance-wise, even.
Yeah, well, he's older. He's not as slick or charismatic.
No, he's just a dick.
I call him slimy. That's the word that comes to mind with him in this one. Is he's slimy?
Randall from Monsters Inc.
Yeah. Ooh, Steve Buscemi would have been a good one actually to have in these. He would have fit right in as one of the 11. That would be a fun side project to do sometime, is like recast this with some other people, you know?
That's an IHOP dinner conversation.
That's it, right. Yeah. That's
our best conversations happen at IHOP.
For sure, yeah.
Over some pancakes.
Man, now I'm thinking about it. I'm going to stop thinking about it before I get more distracted.
Anyhow, so he was wanting to open this hotel casino with Willy Bank.
With Al Pacino here.
Who has a small Willy from the way that he operates.
I got a small Willy.
And he's short, too.
I don't have a great Pacino.
You want to be De Niro, I think, is what it is.
I tend to.
I'm walking here.
Or that's,
Who is that?
That's Dustin Hoffman.
My bad.
Which I also, again, those three actually do overlap a bit in my head. I don't know if it's just because they are like three great actors of like the 70s.
But is it like the Jersey-ish accent?
It's the face.
Or Brooklyn? What accent is that? Brooklyn or Jersey?
More Brooklyn, I would say.
Okay.
But they have this similar face. They all just like dominated the 70s and the early 80s. They're the same generation of actors and same kind of style of actor.
You know who would turn into a good De Niro in his old age?
Who?
Schmidt. The mole on his face.
What's his face?
Max
Greenfield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Tangent.
Let's fan cast him in Oceans. Yeah.
Nick Miller would play well in this.
Ooh. He'd be one of the brothers. They'd both be one of the brothers. We just cast Nick and Schmidt as the brothers. That's it. That's all. Yeah. All right, we're done.
Okay. So, big thing about shaking Sinatra's hand, which we looked up, and it's an honor system.
It's an old reference. It's a reference to Sinatra as like this representative of old school Vegas, which presumably Bank and Rubin kind of came up in, obviously.
Yes.
And Sinatra,
which we find out later in the movie that Rubin taught everybody, casino. He taught him cons, whatever.
But Sinatra, also a reference to Sinatra being the original Danny Ocean.
Yes.
And the original one that's probably a okay movie that we will watch 5 years from now or whatever.
Whenever.
But but Sinatra was an old school. What did he call him? A gentleman's gentleman.
Yeah, a gentleman's gentleman.
Reading?
Yes.
Yeah. So he was a stand-up guy to his friends. I was telling you the story of how he would not play. He was friends with Sammy Davis Jr. He was a famous black singer, a member of the Rat Pack, also in the original Ocean's 11.
Yes.
And he would not play in a place that wouldn't let Sammy Davis also play in, basically. So he stood up for. He made Vegas his own.
Yeah, and the main thing is that you have honor and you have class, regardless of who you are speaking to and what you're doing.
Which is the other,
because you could still be a thief, you could still be a mob member, whatever you're doing. That's your business, but be honorable while you're doing it.
Yeah, be honorable about it, and that's the
which is the theme of all of these movies.
Yeah, that's the other thing, along with the bromance the thread you've woven through all of
my
these.
Theory.
Yeah. It's at a certain point it does stop becoming a theory. It just becomes a
theme.
But it's a theme. Yes, a theme. Yeah, no, you're right though. Is that it is the honor thing? Is that no matter what, whether it's Benedict in the first one screwing Rubin over, whether it's Talor outing them to Benedict, it's in all of these. There's this through line of we're going after you because you've dishonored yourself in some way or another.
Right. And you've dishonored others in the process.
Which Bank is the worst of them in this instance.
He is the most arrogant. Last one we called smug. This one isn't even smug. It's full on dick.
It's nasty. Yeah. So Rubin shows up to him and he's
done a lot of work.
He's done all this. He's put all this work in the hotel. He's gotten approvals for the restaurant. He's cleared out a
got
street.
visas for the chefs. He's cleared the street.
Rezoned
the street. It sounds like.
Yeah. He's done everything to open this place called the Midas. They're calling it the Hotel the Midas, according to Rubin. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Where's the partner desk gonna go?" And Al Pacino's like, "There is no partner desk."
He's like, "So 2 desks then?"
Chairman desk. Just 1 desk.
What do you mean?
For me. You're out, Rubin. Whatever. He's like, I'm not doing this with you.
He goes, and I stood up. He goes, everybody told me you would screw me. Mm-hmm. But I told them no. Willy and I go way back. We shook Sinatra's hand. There's a code. I stood up for you. I vouched for you.
That was your first mistake.
And it's
something.
Yeah, no, that's literally the line. Yeah. And it's so just a real kick in the teeth to, fuck you and everything you stand for, honestly.
Well, and it immediately,
because he says you shook Sinatra's hand, and he says screw Sinatra's hand.
He says that to Danny in the next scene, yeah, which again further emphasizes within a scene, Bank is just this awful, again, slimy, despicable villain. And initially, I thought they kind of overdo it a bit, like they make him just awful. But I've come around, and he should just be awful. There's no problem with him just being awful.
To get the gloves off approach that we get, you have to hate him.
True.
You know what I mean? He can't be a semi-decent guy. He has to be an all-the-way trash guy.
Yeah, it serves the story, and I think more so, again, the emotional investment of this one, and that's kind of been my big issue with these movies, is that, it's great, Danny loves Tess, good enough reason to rob a hotel, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
In the
3 casinos, but all right.
Right. In the second one, I like the romance in that one a bit more. But again, like we've kind of talked about in the last episode, the heist isn't as satisfying.
Nope.
In this one, both are equally satisfying. The revenge, the emotional element that is avenging Ruben's heart attack here is an incredible motivation.
Yes.
Also because Bank is a great, despicable villain.
Yes.
And the heist itself, as we'll get into here, is equally, if not more, satisfying.
Right.
We've finally achieved the balance I've wanted this entire trilogy.
That's true. That is true, because we went one way, then the other, and now we're back in the middle, and it's a solid, spot on iteration.
Yeah.
So then we flash back into the current present, where Ruben is recovering, allegedly fine. He just is not talking. He's still in a great state of shock. He's catatonic, basically.
Yeah.
Not speaking. The other 10 are standing around him talking about what they're going to do about Bank, because Bank has done this horrible thing to their friend. And their mentor, their godfather, if you will.
Really the guy who at the very least funded the initial heist. Later, like we talked about, we kind of get the idea that he's at least kind of brought up Danny and Rusty.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of them are in favor of basically hitting Bank immediately. They're like, fuck this, we're going to do it.
But Frank, specifically Danny, Rusty, and I think one other, who
again are also kind of like the senior. If we remember back in
old
11,
guard. Yeah.
Those are the first 3 we meet are Danny, Frank and Rusty. So so I think it's appropriate that they're the ones that elect to give.
I think it's Basher's the 4th who holds out. No. Basher says go ahead and do it.
Maybe it's Saul, but I remember Saul being out for blood quite a bit this movie too.
Yeah. Either way, 4 of them are
a handful of them. Anyway,
a handful of them say no. For Ruben, we give this guy a Billy Martin.
Right. Which we found out. We did the trivia. We actually did the research for this one.
And the research is Billy Martin was a manager for the Yankees 5 times.
Who was fired and rehired 5 times. Yeah, he kept coming back because he was just too good or just too bad. Who knows?
We didn't go that far.
Basically,
the research.
Yeah, the idea is like an extreme second chance. Yes. This guy just kept getting second chances. So they do elect to we'll give Bank a chance.
You get one last chance.
To make this right.
That's it.
Reinstate Ruben as a partner.
Yes.
Or cough up the money, whatever.
Or give him at least the money he would have made as a partner.
The 50% interest into the casino or whatever it is.
Right. So Danny goes to broker this deal, or at least offer the chance, because saying that he's brokering a deal assumes that he wants to have a deal.
It's a bit of a threat. It's a veiled threat. It's a do this or we are taking everything.
Right. Well, this is your last chance before we absolutely obliterate you. And he spits in Danny's face.
It's the second. This again, Bank's only second scene, and it reinforces. In case you thought there was
he
anything.
laughs in his face.
Yeah, he's
and he immediately calls out that it's a Billy Martin.
Right. So which reinforces the idea that
he knows the friggin' game.
He knows the terms. He knows the little language.
He knows the rules of the game, and he's not playing them.
Yeah. He says, and Ocean brings up the Sinatra's hand kind of thing. and he says, screw Sinatra's hand. So he has no regard for these rules. He has no respect for him. The ship has sailed on his chance here.
And you see great facial acting on Clooney's part. Mm-hmm. You see Danny's face hold absolute contempt, hatred, and you see the resolve in his face that I will make you bleed.
Yeah, even compared to like the more personal stakes for him, at least in 11, like this is the most. Clooney's always very cool. He and Pitt both have this very resigned. They're acting outside of themselves almost, is how I would describe it. Is they're just very cool. Everybody in these movies are just cool. They're cool. They keep a cool head about it. They don't panic. There's no real like emotional. You're breaking my heart. I don't know.
Oh, geez.
You know what I mean? If it is, it's all very below the surface. It's
yes.
just it's a good restrained acting, and he's still very restrained in this scene.
It's absolutely restrained, but it's very clear.
It comes
the
out.
Shift.
Yeah. It's the most significant like
it's
character
really
shift
because it's scarier to watch somebody who has that much control let it slip even a little bit.
Exactly.
It's way scarier.
Exactly.
So
it's like beware the fury of like a quiet man type deal. Yeah.
Always be wary of men in general.
Some phrase like that.
The bear always wins. So, anyways,
I've not caught up on that.
I'm not explaining it.
Okay.
So we jump to Roman Nagel, the guy,
right,
if y'all remember from the last one.
Yeah, played by Eddie Izzard, who's great.
He's our hologram coronation egg guy.
Yeah, the tech guy they brought in for 12.
Yes. We get into the telling us without telling us.
Expository action is the phrase I've come up with, which is the great thing in these Oceans movies they do, where they're explaining the heist to you while showing you the actual heist taking place.
Yep.
So, and this point, this is just the setup for the actual heist.
Yes.
And they bring in Roman, and Nagel essentially is trying to figure out, well, what do you need?
He's problem solving.
Yeah, he's like, what do you need from me then?
In the way that it's very much the way that Brad Pitt and George Clooney talk to each other, where it's like the almost, he doesn't quite get to the not finishing sentences bit, but there's still pieces of the sentence omitted because they both know where they're going. Mm-hmm. So you start with what are the two main objectives, or what are the objectives? It's the Willy Bank has a lot of hotel casinos.
Right.
They've all won the 5 Diamond Award. It's at least 4 or 5. This is probably his 5th, I think, that he would be going after.
Yeah.
So you prevent...
And it's like a 5-star Michelin award type deal thing.
So the main objective is to prevent... the main objective is revenge.
Yes.
The way to get that is to prevent winning the 5 Diamond Award, take that away, and then rig the casino to lose.
Have a huge payout on
He has to
opening
pay
night.
everything. So the pride, because in 11 and 12, pride was the main issue.
Right, the consistent flaw throughout these villains.
The pride thing is the 5 Diamond Awards, because for every 5 Diamond Award that he has won, he's had a 5 diamond necklace made of Tiffany diamonds, which is worth $250 million. Yeah.
And I didn't catch that I thought the actual award was the diamonds.
Nope.
But apparently he just has those made himself.
Yep.
As an extra oomph to it.
They say for his wife, but we never see his wife.
He just keeps them up in his penthouse, which presumably he's just built this hotel too. So he's had them somewhere else and he moved them into the newest one.
Right.
What a mistake that is.
Correct. So there's that, and then the paying out. So the pride
his pride and his money.
He put his pride, money.
But they're not collecting it. I think that's the other significant change around this time is they're not necessarily, they're getting a little bit out of this, sure, but those winnings are just going to
everybody.
It's spread the wealth type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nagel walks them through. So how are you going to basically?
So he's like, you've got to hit craps, blackjack, roulette, and slots.
You got to rig all these games at once.
So he says, okay, well, slots must be your deal because you got to get a hacker. And he goes, no, we've got this guy, Eugene.
Random. When we talk about Ocean's 13, right, we know the 13th is at least Benedict, who comes in later.
Yes.
The 12th, I guess, is kind of Nagel, but they bring in a lot of secondary assistants here, like this Eugene kid.
There's Debbie at the front desk, the concierge, who helps with preventing the 5 diamond. You have Denny, the insurance guy who gave us the job for 11, who got us into trouble with Talor in 12 because he was running his mouth to Lamarck.
Right.
And now in 13, he's in on it. He's supposed to get all of the high rollers to walk out with him. And that is made clear from the beginning when we're talking to Denny. Now, as a first-time watcher, would I catch it? No. Did I catch it? No, but I caught it this time.
Watching all three of these in sequential order like we've done.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, I'll say just briefly, is watching these, like you kind of said with 12, where 12 expects you to keep up a little bit better now that you've watched 11. Mm-hmm. By this one, you've almost fully learned the language.
Yes.
Of the movies. The heist is pretty easy to follow. That's also just because the heist is a little easier this time around.
It's not as disjointed.
Not as disjointed as 12, but you've learned the little idiosyncrasies in the language, and like the Billy Martin type crap they say. There's little phrases, the way the characters interact.
Well, you also have learned not to get hung up on them, and you're like, it is what it is.
Just move on.
It'll be explained to me later, and I will know what it is. I just won't know what it means right yet.
Yeah, but in this one, you're fully you've learned the language of crime.
Yeah. So you go through it, and he says, okay, so we've got this guy Eugene for slots. We've got for craps, we have Turk and Virgil. He goes, well, you can't, fix the dice because they're sealed all the way from the manufacturer. And he goes, well, that's just it. We went to the manufacturer.
They send Virgil down to Mexico.
He's hanging out in the factory, stirring up trouble.
Yeah. We'll get into it. Best subplot in the movie.
Favorite subplot ever.
Fantastic.
He's like, well, if it's not slots, if it's not craps, it's blackjack. And he goes, no, we've got Livingston.
They install
rigging
Livingston.
The shuffler,
Yeah.
the card shuffler.
Yeah, he joins the company that makes these machines, basically.
And you see Livingston go through a polygraph, sweating. This poor guy. I wonder if Eddie Jameson actually just has a sweating issue as a person.
That poor guy had at least 10 minutes of sweating makeup done every scene. They're like, all right, we got to sweat you up now, buddy. Go.
Stressed.
But it's dripping from his nose. I just really want this job.
Yeah, I just really want this job. But you see him do a polygraph. You do the thumbtack in the shoe, which I can't. Anyways.
Painful.
Awful. So you see that, and then you see roulette. There's really not anything to see. They just say that there's loaded balls. That's it.
Okay.
And so then you have Frank working up a new game called which
Nuff
is
Said.
Which is called Nuff Said, which is
domino.
basically just dominoes.
Yeah, and the idea is to get that placed in the hotel as well.
Yeah, so
to sell that somehow or another to bank.
To make sure that Frank is on the floor to monitor everything, sort of run the floor.
Again, be the central recon guy that he is.
Oh, the other character that's recruited is the pit boss.
Yes, yeah, they find
because he's been lifting jewelry. So this hotel is so egregious that the villa silverware is actually solid gold,
Jesus.
And this pit boss has been pawning off the solid gold silverware.
Yeah, and they rope him into it, no problem. He's like, "What do you need?"
Right. Well,
they blackmail him into it, but he's pretty easily convinced.
He's given $100,000.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, well, if it's not that, then it must be your exit strategy. And they go, no, we've got the exit strategy. We've got this drill that did the channel, the channel tunnel, which is from England to France through the English Channel. They have the English side of it. That part is significant for later. So they have that. So that's the exit strategy. So they're like, okay. He goes, so if it's not the games, if it's not the exit strategy, it's got to be security. Well, what's security? And I was like, that's the thing. We don't even know what security is. And then it cuts to to Linus in London.
I was reading a bit of trivia about this scene. Is apparently he was filming one of the Bournes.
Yeah.
When they shot this.
Yes, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, that it was in London.
And they were like, can you just do this scene real quick while you're doing Bourne?
Yeah.
And they did, yeah.
Yeah, but what's kind of nuts, too, is that we get this London shot, and we never got any real Europe shots in 12.
I'm sure if we went back and watched 12, we're really shitting on Europe. On the lack of Europe in 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure there's, I really liked the Night Fox's little villa and stuff, in those scenes in Italy and stuff.
Well, those are good, yes.
Super pretty.
So then Linus gets on the phone and is talking about how he might have a name of a guy who might be involved, but he's not even sure if that's real, and he's pretty sure he's being followed.
Or the security system itself, because as it turns out, the guy who designed it named it after himself.
Right.
He is Greco something or other.
Yeah, I don't remember that part.
Who Nagel recognizes as this rival. He's been waiting for this security system to be dropped or tested.
His schoolmate rival. Mm-hmm. He knows everything about the system because he went to school with him.
Yeah.
But the only thing he didn't know is where it was going to be deployed.
Right.
Greco Montgomery. And there's a moment where Rusty brings it up. He's like, Greco, Roman?
They just move right past it. Or he says something like, obviously you would never spend much time around an English boarding school.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got all our
So the movie shits on Europe too.
Yes. A little bit, actually. The only other thing that we don't have, that we haven't touched on in the setting up, because this was part of, I don't know if it was the Roman conversation or the all of them conversation, but it comes up that Willy's right-hand person is Abigail Sponder.
Right. The only other person who basically has any significant access
to anything.
To stuff, yeah, is this his little sidekick.
And now that I'm thinking about it, since 11 was Danny's love story.
Is this the closest we get to Linus?
This is the close, and 12 was Rusty's love story. This is the closest we get to Linus's love story.
Yeah, man. So
The
she's a
nose
MILF,
plays.
and that's important later.
The nose plays.
Yeah.
But they bring up, the way that they bring her up is that all of this wait staff are not actually wait staff.
Oh.
They're classified as models.
Yes.
So that they can have a say over their BMI, which is the most fucked thing. But it's such a very early 2000s, like,
yeah,
take.
Skinny thing. Right, yeah. Back
Because
in the day.
do you remember how big of a deal it was to have the friggin' low-rise jeans, and you have to not have any sort of curve before the low-rise jeans? And God forbid you were, blessed and developed in areas.
Yeah, we've come a long way, folks, from nowadays where it's hip to be thick. You know what I mean?
I don't want to say thank you to the person who I believe is responsible for that, so I'm not gonna.
Interesting.
But
Sir Mix-a-Lot?
I like that better. Yeah, thank you, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Patron saint of
the
big
ass.
butts.
Yes. But either way, she is seen literally pinching the back of a woman's arm.
Right.
And she's like, it's 4 pounds.
I like how the guys, though, are like, that's not right. Like, they take such offense to it.
Frank takes the most offense, and I really appreciate. He's like, that's unconstitutional.
True allies.
Love
the
'em.
11, yeah.
Love them. So that's our setup. I think, are we at a halfway point there?
We're sitting at 40 minutes.
All right, so we're not doing too
We
bad.
can go for another 5 or so here.
All right, so
To fully go through. So we get to the Greco. That's the big thing, is what the Greco does.
So the Greco is a computer system that measures biometric responses to detect cheating. Basically, the closest thing to AI that we had at that time, and also now being in the future 20 years or a little less.
Right.
A fairly realistic presentation of what AI has come to be.
Yeah, well, yeah, because we got face recognition, all software and nonsense like that nowadays.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So
And that's what what it does.
The
is,
thumbprint access to the building, to the vault thing,
Yeah.
to the vault pit, whatever that is. The heart rate.
Yeah.
It's
going to be crazy when we do finally go back and watch the original Ocean's 11 and they just dynamite the vault or whatever they do.
It'll be fun though.
Yes, but I'm the low tech of it.
Let me not even, because I don't know it'll be fun. I have no idea.
Well, Roman even has the line here where he's like, "You boys are like an analog thieves in a digital world," or something like that. So
you're cooked. You're done.
It's a true mid 2000s movie where you see technology kind of catching up, considering that this started in 2001.
Yeah.
Which those movies are basically 90s movies still.
Yeah.
In a sense, around that time,
Right.
And we're firmly in
We're
the
firmly
mid 2000s.
in the 2000s.
Yeah.
We're getting the cell phone technology. We're getting all of that.
Yeah, well, cell phones even being a big enough deal
to use them.
And this I guess ties also into the thing of dealing with the Greco. Is Nagel tells them like basically the only way to disable this thing is going to be through a magnetron, which comes in the way through a golden phone that Bank really wants to get his hands on.
A golden Samsung.
Yeah,
predates iPhone.
Again, which thinking about that in 2001, think if you're going back to 2011, where like a cell phone would not be a significant part of the plot.
Nope.
So to kind of date this mid 2000s, cell phone's a very significant part of this heist.
Yep.
So they need a magnetron to shut this thing down, some kind of basically EMP device type, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's only going to be shut down if they do manage to shut it down
for 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Right. And they also need to, the only way to even kickstart that whole process is through some kind of natural disaster.
Correct. Well, to get the exit strategy to get people to get out.
Yes, people to get out with their winnings.
And to make the magnetron look not like a heist.
Yeah, so the idea is to shut down the security system, shut down the Greco, so it's not reading anybody's reactions or whatever, which are going to be genuine anyway.
Yes.
Because random people are just randomly winning.
Right.
As far as the computer is concerned.
Right.
Shut down the system. You have 3 minutes and 20 seconds of crazy winnings.
Yes.
Going on. Earthquake is triggered. Everybody flees because of
because the casino effect is always in play where like once you start winning, you want to keep playing because you want to win more. Mm-hmm. And so you have to get people out to actually get to bleed to Willy dry.
Maintain those to like
Oof, I don't like that term.
Bleed the Willy dry.
I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry.
Bleed the bank dry sounds way cooler.
Yeah, let's just go with that one.
You may have stumbled on the episode title. We'll see what happens next, but bleed the Willy dry is pretty good.
It's just it's an image, and it's not leaving my head.
I don't like it. I don't like it any more than you do.
Okay, great.
But that's basically the setup for everything.
However, there is one little thing, and you see in the way that we had the backpack flashbacks in 12, mm-hmm. we got this one little nugget of this one person just hanging out.
Oh, yes.
Why the hell is he hanging out?
Right.
To lure.
To lure!
Oh, I didn't know the accent was going to
come
out.
The Night Fox, recurring characters to lure. It's going to be great once we move on from these episodes.
You know, your French is a little German.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'm 27 days into my German Duolingo course.
Oh.
I've been doing my
owl got you, huh?
Da, Fräulein.
Ah. Don't like
or
that.
Yeah, I started with Russian, and da is yes for Russian. Ja, Fräulein is German.
Help.
But I am not German, I am French, I am Toulouse, the Night Fox. And I am following the 11 around the hotel. What am I up to? I'm so mischievous.
You went back into German?
It's my... Oh, well.
And with that, I think we are ready for our midpoint break.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We will be back to talk about the heist actually happening now.
Oh, the real heist has yet to even begin.
Is it a heist or is it just crimes?
With me, the Night Fox? You'll never know.
And we're back.
We're back.
So, okay.
We are back.
Oh, no.
It is me to lure. I am lurking in the shadows like a fox in the night.
No, it's just decidedly German now.
I've lost the plot.
You lost it. So, we're back. We're in it. We've got all the things set up, basically. We know what we're doing. Now we have to execute. So, first execution point. We have Debbie, who could, in theory, be one of the 13.
Maybe my favorite minor character, Debbie. She seems to be having a lot of fun with this whole thing.
Homegirl is thrilled to be there.
Yep.
And you know what? We love to see it.
Yep.
Because this girl was instrumental. And she does a whole lot as a actress with the very limited part that she has to play.
Yeah.
She does a lot with it. So she's paid off by Rusty and promised a spot, and I don't know whose hotel it was, but somebody else's. She gets to be.
It's a nice vacation.
She gets to be general manager of somewhere else.
Oh shit! Okay.
So he does a little, what is that called? Not blackmail. The other way around.
Bribery.
Bribery. There you go. Does a little bribery. He slips her the picture of the 5 Diamond reviewer.
Yes. Yeah. They managed to scope out who the undercover.
Yes.
Health inspector type guy who reviews the thing for this 5 Diamond Award is going to be.
Yes. And this poor guy goes through it.
Right. And
this man is afflicted. Afflicted. And you have, and you know from the jump how bad it's going to be because Linus says to Saul.
Yes, yeah.
He goes, this is a lot to put somebody through.
Yeah.
And he's like, and Saul goes, yes, but everybody gets a payout in the end, so it evens out.
Yeah, they reference, I can't remember what the trivia definition for this one was for the Susan B. Anthony, but they reference it as a Susan B. Anthony, which is basically he's gonna get something in the end for going through all this.
Yes.
And
he says, would you do it for $10 million to Saul? And Saul says, no, I'd do it for 11.
Yeah.
Or I guess he said, would you willingly go through all of this for $10 million?
Which I didn't notice this before, and I noticed it this time around. I'm like, wow, they plant that seed. Because this is literally the last seed that sprouts in the movie.
Yes.
Basically. And in this trilogy, really. And they plant that in this conversation.
Right. So then you see, and throughout the bromance is alive and well and kicking and coming to full arc fruition in this movie. So you see Rusty and Danny talking about their domestic lives in a closet. They're sitting on the floor, just chilling, and they're waiting for a call. They get the call, they get up, and they do what you actually said while we were watching it would have been a very Virgil and Turk bit.
Yeah, the man work.
Yes,
the Jethro work.
And I, in the meantime, I said, it's because it's personal.
Yeah,
this one is and. To call back all the way to 11, you can't do a job within a job. It cannot be personal. You cannot be emotionally invested because that's how you get sloppy.
Yeah.
That's how you get. And then it also is referenced later and kind of throughout. This is why revenge schemes, I guess, don't work because you either go to jail or die or something to that effect. It's very high stakes.
High stakes, low reward type situation.
It's not this time though.
Other than the revenge, but that's a fleeting reward, I suppose. But it's so personal for them that they, at this point, while the other movies
doing the dirty work.
Yeah, and the rest of the movies, they're keen to just hang back, be the masterminds, plot it out, maybe come in for a little panache at the end.
Yes.
Or something like the Vault or whatever, what have you. In this one, they're fully participating. They do recon and stuff, but they're fully participating in the dirty work of infiltrating the room they're going to put this guy up in.
Well, and I think it also speaks to there is no room for error because there is all of the room for error with how emotional it is for them.
Yeah, that they do a job right, do it yourself type attitude.
Well, and make sure it's done as best as possible so you put your best minds on it and you operate on all cylinders for this thing.
Yeah.
And so you've got them buying coats.
Right. Yeah. They do a lot more active recon and stuff like this. Again, man work than they do in the other ones.
Yes, but back to what they're doing.
Yeah.
They are. You see them handling things with gloves and masks.
They got biohazard equipment. And
biohazard bags in it. I mean, they are putting in the works to this room.
Dousing it with just...
You don't see anything of what they're doing, though. You don't know what any of those things are. You assume that it's obviously very dangerous.
Well, and going back to fun, on a production level, this is gets back to the more creative, interesting camera work where it's kind of a trippy sequence, too, because it's fading. It's all these scenes faded and overlapped on top of each other. So it's even more kind of chaotic and has this mischievous energy to it. So
they're doing that. Virgil is in Mexico.
Who is slowly realizing that the work conditions of this factory are maybe not great.
They're horrendous.
They're awful. Yeah. He laughs like, we turn the air conditioner, which this actually resonated with me because I worked in a warehouse for like a couple years in college. And we also did not have air conditioning in there.
Oh, geez.
Which is okay in the winter.
In Florida.
Yeah. Right. So it was, again, okay in the winter. You kind of come in, get your hot tea and stuff, and you're in your coat all day. But in the summers, awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. And you assume Mexico. Oh, having been to Mexico, Mexico is about the same.
It's close, yeah. And so we had fans and stuff. So
that does nothing.
Yeah, unless you're
it just
happen
stirs
to be by
up the
one.
warm air that's already there.
It's a nightmare. So I get it. So that's the first thing that sets him off, and he's like, "Can we get some air conditioning?" And he's like, "They don't want to give us air."
They laugh at him too because they're like, he starts waving a little pan or something that's nearby at him, and he's like blowing. But then
But throughout his next couple of scenes, he starts to plant the seeds of revolution. Truly, the leader America needs right now is Virgil Malloy.
The Mormon?
Yeah, Virgil the Mormon Malloy. That's my boy. Virgil 2024, baby.
Help. So we have Virgil doing that. We have Livingston going through trying to get this card thing to work, the card shuffler to work, and he cannot for the life of him get it together, man. I mean, to the point where like later on you see the thing explode and cards go everywhere. Nuts.
And he has a great scene somewhere in here where he's explaining blackjack to, I think it is just Linus, Danny and Rusty, yeah.
And they're all just
they're looking at each other. Yeah.
Rusty is the most amused this whole movie.
It looks like Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
That looks like Brad Pitt breaking in the scene a little bit.
Yes.
Leaking through and be like, this is...
He just smiles.
Having a blast. Yeah.
I will say, this one, he's not eating as much.
You're right.
I think he's just on it because he has to, because, again, has to be focused for this.
Interesting.
But you very rarely see him eat. I don't think we see him eat once.
I can't... Now that you're saying it, that's crazy.
That's
one of like at least this character. It's really a Brad Pitt character trait, but he makes it this character's character trait. And you don't see him, which I guess again does contribute to the seriousness of this actual heist and stuff. Yeah,
this man is not relaxed at all, actually.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So he turns into a scientist.
Oh right, yeah. We cut to him going to because they have to set up the premise of the earthquake. Yeah.
And they also need eyes and ears in Willy Banks' offices.
Yes, yeah. So he takes a quote-unquote site. He's got a great getup. He's got like mustache, hippie wig, cargo shorts.
It's a handlebar mustache. It's not even just a mustache. It's a handlebar mustache.
He looks great. Great scene of him talking to Pacino, and he's selling him on his like, here's what you don't want. You don't want.
And Willy's right hand is in the room, Abigail.
Yeah, Abigail's in there with him. They're not taking this seriously at all, and he's
it's like at the very least come up with an evacuation plan.
He's playing like the character you see in every like disaster or like alien movie.
Oh yeah,
it's like trying to tell the government like we have to do something. You don't understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah,
it's that archetype.
But as he's leaving out, and he has a great line here. As he's leaving out,
and he leaves this little seismograph, quote unquote seismograph, which is the disguised camera.
Yes.
In the office.
Which
is crazy they don't get rid of. This is a bit of plot convenience right here where it's crazy that Bank doesn't just like put that in a storage closet or something like that. The fact that he lets them keep it in his office is kind of funny to me.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Now that I'm thinking about it, it is very convenient.
There's not that much of it in here where it's like, but I would almost argue even more so in 11 where everything in 11 pretty much goes off without a hitch.
Yeah. We're back to that.
Even more things go off without a hitch.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they're very quickly course corrected.
Right.
Which I don't mind as much in this one.
Well, because they're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, they're just operating at peak efficiency.
Yeah. So as he's walking out,
and he also does agree. He does concede to like drawing up an evacuation plan.
That is important for later.
Yes.
So
he was like, "Fine, we'll do that. Get on that." Abigail's like, "We'll have it done."
He's like, "Well, I'm sorry I couldn't be more useful to you or whatever." And Willy says, "You could be useful. Why don't you go spend some time on the floor, spend some money?"
It's like, "I don't gamble, sir. You shouldn't either."
Neither should you. Not with people's lives. And he says it out. So he's walking out the door. But every almost every line said to Willy after Danny's conversation with him, inadvertently by any of these characters, is 100% a double entendre, a dig at Willy of what's coming. It's all foreshadowing.
Yeah, you pointed that out, and I didn't. I've always loved this scene. I think it's one of the funniest scenes in the movie. Any scene where anyone's in disguise.
Yeah.
Hilarious. But yeah, I didn't pick up in all the times, in the handful of times. I don't watch this 20 times a year like you. But but the handful of times I've watched this, I never picked up as that line being a veiled threat.
Yeah.
To Bank, but it is because he has gambled with Ruben's life.
Yes. And was very cavalier in doing so.
And is very much losing that gamble.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because the thing, too, is that you know that Ruben is associated with Danny and Rusty and all these folks. That's not a secret.
Yeah, and it seems Bank knows Ocean's reputation on some level when they met earlier.
Yeah.
And it does not take him nearly as seriously as he
Because he said,
should.
I'm told you're a serious guy, and I only take meetings with serious men.
Oh, yeah, he has that great line. He's like, a couple of serious people told me you were a serious person. Or something like that, yeah.
Doesn't take him seriously at all.
No.
But that's his arrogance that we end up using against him. Mm-hmm. I say we like I was part of the heist.
We did it, yeah.
I got to watch it. Mm-hmm. I was there. We go from there. Basher's underground with the drill.
Right.
And
which is going to trigger the earthquake.
Yes.
Later on.
Yes.
The fake earthquake.
Linus goes downstairs or goes underground to check on him. And Basher is basically full-time. It's clear from the way that Linus is bringing in supplies in a paper bag to Basher.
He's soloing this part of the mission. Mm-hmm. Basher, basically, yeah.
But he's also 24/7 soloing to the point where he's not really like going upstairs to eat or anything.
Yeah.
And so very different than last time, but full commitment on his part and willing full commitment on his part to get this done.
Right.
Because it's for Ruben.
Yeah.
But then
this goes back to like the team as individuals doing their different little roles.
Yes.
Again, so it's nice to see again Basher doing machine stuff.
Right.
Or whatever Basher does.
Munitions.
Yeah.
So he's underground. He's got like many levers to pull and buttons to push and things like that. So he's going on his little bit. However, when Linus comes through, he hands him a letter for Ruben.
Right. Which is very sweet. It feels
Linus immediately opens and goes, I can't read this. I can't read this.
Well, and the doctors told him to like, it's good to talk to him and and kind of like treat him like, give him these positive messages and stuff to bring him out of it.
And Linus is like, I can't go and read this to him. He's like, just do it. It's you'll be the vessel. It's my words. I'm saying it. You just saying it for me.
Yeah.
And then, and he really kicks Linus in the teeth a little bit because he's like, I'm down here all the time. You couldn't even. I don't know if you caught this. He's like, you couldn't at least bring the mags, which I presume means magazines.
Well, porno mags.
And he's like, I can't buy that either. Like I can't.
Funny.
So it's Linus just saying, I can't.
I figured that was like machine parts or something. That's funnier.
No, he's down there 24/7, and he needs his little Playboys.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And Linus is like, I can't buy those. I can't do that.
That's great. Well, we got these a bit out of order then, because then Linus goes back, takes that letter. They're watching Pitt do the scientist scene.
Yes, sorry.
Then he does all that, and he's like it's a show. He's like telling her like, look, he's doing this bit. He calls it an Irwin Allen, which I did a trivia on that one too. That's a reference to an old school disaster movie director.
Nice.
Is who Irwin Allen was,
all
which is a reference to the earthquake.
Yes.
So anyways, that one's pretty easy. But anyway, so after Pitt does the scientist thing and he walks off, Danny leaves him with him as well, and he goes to read the letter to Ruben, and it's a very
touching,
very poetic letter. It's very funny to think of like Basher, very cool guy back in the background,
Barney Rubble,
trouble, what way, a bunch of villains, whatever. He has, then Linus reads this very beautiful poem or a letter to him, and then he's like, he gets too embarrassing, it's too mushy for him, and he just leaves it. He's like, yeah, you got it.
This isn't it.
Yeah. But I like this because we've talked about it before. Basher's kind of the underdog favorite of the 11 for us. And I like that this little letter thing kind of informs his character's, his emotional investment. Again, it delivers
his emotional intelligence. Yeah,
it delivers on the idea of the 11 as this found family.
The boys.
They're the boys.
The boys. Simultaneously, we have Saul reprising his dressing up role.
Again, right, same thing, where we get back to people doing the things they do.
Right.
Their roles. Saul's back to being the master of disguise. He is Kensington Chubb. The actual, he's filling in he's pretending to be the Diamond Review guy.
Yes.
And he very conveniently drops his
little folder.
His little folder.
His review folder.
His review folder. So where Abigail spots it.
Yes.
And so she notifies the staff.
Very conveniently, he knows without looking around or turning around.
Yeah. So Abigail lets everybody kind of know. They're like, oh, that's the guy. Be good to him. Be nice to him. Give him everything he needs.
And he brings in a dog carrier in his eccentricity.
Her Majesty.
Her Majesty.
The dog.
We don't ever get a name, just Her Majesty, right?
No, well, there's not a dog.
I get. Yeah, that's true. That's
yeah,
true.
he just calls her Her Majesty.
And we see him carrying in a dog carrier, so of course Abigail immediately pulls him out of line, tries to get him into the best, suite or whatever. And they put
Debbie,
the
concierge, this is where she plays her little role, where she takes over once the actual guy who's also in line. She takes over, makes sure to put him in the room that they've rigged, that Danny and Rusty have rigged and sabotaged, right next to
Saul.
Kensington Chubb.
Oh yes, sorry, yes. And then as soon as he gets settled into his room, he takes out whatever's in the dog carrier.
Yeah.
Which
it's like an odor-inducing device or something or other.
No, it's a chemical reaction. So I think it's like a vinegar, like an acid, and
it's stinky. Whatever it is,
whatever.
It's stinky.
It's sulfuric acid probably in a glass in vinegar. Pours it in right into the right next to the vent. Holds it up, which we don't see him holding up. We just see the things like come into the shot. Really great cinematography there.
Yeah, great. Just the pan from room to room.
And it's the old school fan that you had like when you were like walking around in Disney or whatever, like before the misters, the teeny tiny like personal fans that ran on 2 AA batteries.
Right.
For only like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's all they needed.
Jeez.
And again, with these movies, timing is everything. Performance, plot, production, timing is everything for all of these things. He fans it over into the room next to him through the vent, and then he presumably calls down to the front office or the front desk to get a new room.
And he's like, what is this smell? This is awful in here.
And then the actual guy calls down to ask for another room because of the smell.
Yeah.
And Miss Debbie cut to her answering the phone and saying, of course, sure, let me check and see if there's anything available.
She's playing solitaire.
Cut to her playing solitaire.
Great bit. Yeah.
And it's such a 2000s throwback of like how we all played solitaire and we're all like proficient in playing solitaire for a solid minute.
Right.
Because that was the only computer game we had.
Yeah.
So he gets off the phone where she says there's no available rooms. He opens the door to go to dinner and sees Kensington.
Yeah.
Being relocated with his damn dog. Presumably.
Mm-hmm. Also complaining about the smell.
Yes.
Placing him a little beneath suspicion here that he has nothing to do with whatever's going on in this guy's room.
But also showing the favoritism to him in the sense.
Putting it in his face. Yeah.
Yes.
Parading it in front of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the timing of that. And it's the fact that as he's walking by him, he says, Her Highness is so sensitive to smells. Presuming that it's not even him that has the problem with the smell, it's the dog.
It's the dog, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, if I'm him, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So then he goes downstairs, he goes to eat, he goes into one of the restaurants, and he's really excited to try the risotto.
No one's in there.
Again, the restaurants in this hotel are Michelin-starred chefs who are well-known. They've been poached from the best restaurants in the world.
Yeah.
He goes to the host to ask for, a walk-in table.
Right.
Host says, I don't have anything for you. completely dead empty restaurant.
Yeah.
And he covers it up by saying,
these are all reserved. Yeah.
We've all got reservations.
Perhaps you'd like to try this other place.
Perhaps you'd like to try the Szechuan
Great
cuisine.
Szechuan dining, whatever. Yeah. He's like, all right, fine.
And you
then
see him walk off, and then you see Pitt appear from the shadows, stick a hundo in the dude's pocket square pocket, and then walks off.
Yeah.
He is chewing gum, but he's not really chewing food.
Okay. He's trying to quit.
I guess.
Trying to quit food.
I guess.
Yeah. But he goes to this other restaurant, orders whatever. Turk's in the kitchen as like a little...
Turk is his waiter.
Oh, is he even the waiter? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Turk is his waiter in the red getup,
Gotcha.
and then switches out his dumpling, one of his dumplings from the actual kitchen, to a dumpling that Turk has brought in a sealed container, which we presume, or no, we find out very shortly thereafter that he goes upstairs and retches. So
yeah, they pile on. I guess I'm remembering now. They really do pile just scene upon scene upon scene of suffering.
This poor
On
guy
this guy.
is going.
He's recognizable
through it.
too. I've seen him in something else. He's one of those where just I feel like he's popped up on like Law and Order or something like that. But he puts in a good performance. We were talking about our P's, is that he sells this like just exasperated tourist attitude really well.
So then he goes upstairs, throws up, decides that he has been treated poorly. He's like, let me go ahead and do my review now.
Starts getting him marks off on his little thing.
He gets to the cleanliness one.
Yeah, takes out his little goggles and he's
got
scanning the room with the black light.
He's got a black light that he's going over the room with, which is relatively not great because there looks like there's fingerprints and things and everything because Danny and Rusty did a very thorough job. And then go through to the goggles, and the goggles to me is the most egregious thing because I don't like creepy crawlies. Can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm fine in nature, I guess. I don't want it on me, but like I'm fine in nature with seeing like a bug and I'm like, I will leave it alone.
That's where it belongs.
Right. But then he puts on his goggles, looks at the bed, full of friggin' bed bugs, which at this point he had been lounging on the bed prior to.
Yeah,
so he's already got
covered
them.
in them, presumably, yeah.
And I don't know if have you had any experience with bed bugs?
No,
I haven't either.
I don't think so.
But the rumor is that you have to burn everything.
Okay.
Like, to get rid of them, you have to literally, like, you cannot wear those clothes again. Like, washing them does nothing.
Yeah. I don't even know technically what constitutes a bed bug. Like, specific. I'm sure there's like variations.
I can't handle looking it up. I can't handle.
No, we'll do it.
Please don't ask me to do that.
Now I'm fascinated. I'm one of those people that's like I'm absolutely gonna go home and be like, what is actually a bed bug?
And then he's gonna text me about it.
What do they cause?
He's gonna send me screenshots of these damn pictures. Can
Either
we talk about how every not even square inch, square centimeter, every pixel of that bed was covered?
Now, I wonder if they did actually cover it in bugs or if it was just a chemical that would like mimic bugs. You know what I mean? Or I'm almost even
no, because look how red he turns afterwards.
Yeah, I guess
he's absolutely bitten.
I'd assume that it could be side effects from like the food poisoning too, maybe. If it had a rash.
Do you remember when he turned over after sleeping and there were bites all over his face?
Okay. Yeah.
Or rash.
He went through a lot. If I don't remember all of it, I apologize.
This poor guy was absolutely obliterated.
Worth the $11 million in the end.
So anyways, that's pretty much the culmination of his misery journey.
He's having an awful stay.
And at this point, he has nothing to do but recover from all of that, but he has to stay there.
Yeah.
I guess because
we later see
that's
him
his job.
Posted up on the end
the small little couch in the corner.
Yeah.
And that's when you see him turn over and you see his one side of his face is just full of bites. Mm-hmm. And they're angry and red and his whole skin turns red. Meanwhile, Virgil's little fight has turned into a full-on problem.
Full-blown strike.
Full-blown strike.
Yeah.
And then the drill breaks. And we have to find a benefactor for that. We have to get the new one.
Right. At this point, the obstacles start piling up a little bit. Things stop going super smoothly. We hit a few speed bumps here. They elect to send Turk down to rope in his brother.
Yes.
To get the manufacturing going on the dice. And then Linus suggests...
Linus has this bright idea.
Yeah, Linus has this idea that maybe there is someone that can help us.
Well, because he says something like, is there any fundraising we can do? Like it's like a youth group trip or something where like there's people who would give money to it, or like it's like a worthy cause.
Right. No.
So they need a benefactor.
So Linus suggests we bring in who else?
Terry Benedict.
Terry Benedict. I don't have a Terry Benedict voice. But yeah, no, but he shows up. He is back. The
Mr. Olsen.
You come to me on the day.
You come to me. So they go to Danny and Rusty and Linus, actually. So this is where we start to see Linus start to graduate, because he's invited to the meetings, and it's not even a discussion of whether or not he's invited to the meetings, because technically it was his idea, so he has to go, right?
Right.
He goes to the meeting, sits in with them, and they talk to Terry about funding it, and he goes, he has conditions, as any good banker does.
Right.
He wants his profits, or he wants his investment doubled. Mm-hmm. He wants
to be the first paid.
He wants to, last in, first out.
Yeah. And he also wants
the diamonds, which we had previously discussed. Well, we did not.
We had mentioned them, but they're not part of the heist.
But they had previously discussed that it was impossible to do.
Yeah.
So Danny, Rusty, and Linus go back to the team and say, we got to do this thing. We have to add this to the heist.
It's the only way we're going to be able to get the money to get the drill. So now the heist, which I think I wrote down too, this is a nice way to up the stakes, because, they mentioned that, he has these diamonds early in the movie.
Right.
And they're like, we're not going to go after the diamonds. And you're like, well, surely you're going to go after the diamonds at some point. It's only a matter of how
we get there.
It's like, you cannot say there's diamonds and not steal them.
Right.
And so having Benedict be the one to tell them,
especially since you've had Roman with you to do like the switching of the egg, and who can easily do like replicas of things.
You're right. It merges the two. There's a little prize that's very valuable. There's the casino prize, but there's also the physical thing that we're stealing. It does merge, I guess, those two type variants of heists that we've seen so far. But I like how Benedict is the one to kind of
drive the boat.
Yeah, to be like, no, you're stealing the diamonds for me. And what I like too is he does, when this sets up Benedict's own heist within a heist.
Yes.
His little scheme is that he's like, I don't care what you do with the diamonds afterwards. I just want to hurt his pride.
Yes.
He keeps winning these. Every one of his hotels is awful. He plays this card where he doesn't really care what happens to the diamonds. We later find out
he cares very much. He's always cared the whole time.
He has his own failsafe in place to make sure that he does end up with the diamonds. And we later find out that failsafe has already been seen, and it is
Toulour. Okay.
It's in Night Fox.
That's better.
I'm getting there. Getting back to it.
You're finding it.
We're in America in this one. I haven't spent the whole movie in Europe like last time.
That's true. So we get the drill funded. Turk goes down to help out Virgil. Turk goes down to get Virgil to get the factory working. Mm-hmm. Ends up joining the cause.
Yeah, there's a great bit where Clooney or somebody calls them and is like, hey, did you get the factory up and running? And it cuts to Turk being like, yeah, as soon as management.
We just got to break management.
We just got to break management. He throws a brick or whatever.
No. He's throwing a alcohol bottle on fire.
Oh, Molotov cocktail?
Yeah. That's what it is. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Thank you for knowing that's that term.
Yep, I'm ready for the revolution.
Oh, no. Don't put us on a list, please. Just put him.
Sure. But so the brothers Malloy are fully invested in this strike. They're getting it underway.
And then to get close to the diamonds, you have to have somebody in the suite, or you have to be close to the elevator shaft. But the plans for this...
Right, because then... so they've been setting up the casino half of this thing, and now all of a sudden they have to get the...
Upstairs.
The diamond aspect of it, yeah.
So the other thing about this hotel casino is that none of the plans are cohesive from iteration to iteration because he keeps firing people the whole time. And you have really good cuts in the beginning in the setup for the heist. You have really good cuts to Willy telling, like yelling at the construction workers the whole time, like yelling at everybody,
micromanaging the whole affair.
He has his own monogrammed hard hat.
Yeah.
And it's black, and everybody else's is white.
He's so insufferable.
Black and gold. Like, he's such a little dick.
Yeah. Little Willy.
Little Willy. There's a really great line that he says while being upset about, or like while he's like micromanaging, where he's like, I don't want the labor pains, I just want the baby, or something like that. Where they're trying to explain to him why it's taking so long, and he goes, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Which, again, just more color to how much of a dick he is as a person. So anyways, you have to get a high roller into one of the villas to get into the elevator shaft because you need that elevator access, you need that space.
Yeah. So Yin finally kind of comes. He's been kind of quiet up until this point, hasn't had much to do.
Right.
So they get him and Linus as the double act here as Mr. Wang.
And the first thing you see of Linus as he comes out of the plane is the nose.
Is his nose. He's got a great artificial nose, which is fantastic. Which Linus is very committed to this idea.
A good 4 inches out from his face.
Yeah, he's very committed to this disguise. Like, this is a great idea.
Slick back hair.
God knows why. Yeah, he's got his little Nehru suit.
To run back all the way to Tangled, because we did reference it earlier.
Sure, yeah.
The high for Rusty last time.
Yeah.
The nose is always a significant thing. The nose significantly changes the face every time.
Oh, the poster in Tangled. I remember. Yes, you're correct.
They never get my nose right.
Correct. Yeah, and that's Linus's point, is that the nose makes him memorable, I guess.
Memorable. The nose plays. The nose plays. So they get Wang or Yin as Wang into the villa. This is the scene that traumatizes me. Is that he is like they're like. But it gives him
his moment, his greaseman moment. They guilt him into it. He doesn't want to do it. They guilt him into doing it by invoking that like Ruben's gonna die if you don't. He's like, okay.
They said we could just put him in hospice.
Right. Yeah. So he does manage to jump through these elevators,
which are going as fast as bullet trains, honestly.
Yeah, and this is why it's scary to me. I have a fear of fast moving like roller coasters and stuff like that. That's what this reminds me of.
So Six Flags, we can't take you there?
No, Six Flags and Busch Gardens are the worst.
What the hell?
Nothing but roller coasters there. So there's just no point. There's no little teacups or something manageable in between.
You want the teacups?
I love the teacups. I'll spin all day long. I don't care, but make me go fast? No, please, thank you.
Wow.
No, thanks. Not a fan.
Have you ever done the drop, like the
I've done
Tower
it.
of Terror drop?
It's fine. I don't love it. They changed it also to Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know if they did that down here in Disney World, but I know in Disneyland they changed it to a Guardians of the Galaxy one.
I'm not really a Disney adult, so I don't really keep up.
I don't know. I'm a scary adult. That's why I'm disappointed about the loss of the Tower of Terror.
That's fair.
That's it. Yeah.
So, anyways,
but this is very Tower of Terror, where he's jumping through these elevator shafts and it's awful. But he makes it. He even figures it out. He does it.
He does it. We find out that the floor is thicker than, because Danny says 5 inches. If it's anything more than 5 inches, it's a problem.
And it's 7 inches, I think.
7 inches.
Yeah. So it's not going to cut it as an entrance.
No. So then, while we're trying to figure out how to make all of these things happen, we get a very touching scene.
Rusty and Danny's little bro walk.
They're trying to problem solve, and then Rusty comes up to Danny's room.
Oh, different scene than I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm. This is the one that I've been waiting for, honestly. Rusty comes up to Danny's room. Danny answers and is all like stuffy and teary-eyed.
This is right. You mentioned this last time. As you mistake this as happening in 12, it happens in 11. And
I thought it was a deleted scene, and it's actually 13. But it's the same vibes as 12, I guess.
Yeah, Rusty catches Danny watching Oprah. Danny's very, very moved by it.
Rusty is judgmental at first.
Before also being very moved by it. And at first, and the fun thing about this too that I had kind of forgotten is that at first it just seems like a fun, jokey scene. Again, we like these scenes between Danny and Rusty where they're emotive without being emotive, and this is kind of the first time we see really either of them truly emote. You know, they always communicate in this kind of silent bro language with each other. This very curt.
Yeah, because they can finish each other's sentences.
Yeah, they don't. They talk without talking, kind of thing. They converse without conversing, and this is the first time probably not in their lives, but anyway. But it's very uncharacteristic for them to be outwardly emotive like this.
Yes.
So it seems like, oh, this is just a funny, cute scene. It does indeed set up the punchline with Benedict later that Oprah is a significant end game here.
So I was saying this while we were watching it. No scene is wasted.
Yes.
No scene is wasted.
Yeah, down again from like Saul talking about the 11 million payout at the end of this for the guy. Mm-hmm. So, which is just a throw. And there's a lot of like these movies are great about these little throwaway scenes that, unless you're rewatching them a couple times, like you don't appreciate them as much.
Pick up on you. But there's something to discover on every rewatch. So
yeah.
There's a trade-off there.
But there's some other scene in here too with Rusty and Danny that I liked, where they're walking and kind of talking about how Rusty. We mentioned this earlier, where like they have each kind of a little backstory with Rusty, or not with Reuben, where Reuben brought them up as thieves and stuff. Which but I like this too because little Claire de Lune is playing
in the background of that, and they're around water.
I think they're in front of. I think it's just before it's daytime, and so the fountain isn't up. But I think it is. They're in
back
front of the Bellagio fountain.
Oh, that would make more sense.
You know, and the Claire de Lune is playing like in the first movie, and that fades in on Reuben kind of coming back to life, reading through Basher's letters.
So not only has Basher given Linus the one letter, there's a stack of letters that you see on the nightstand that have not been opened because Linus cannot emote.
Yeah, I can't bring himself to read them. But they clearly mean a lot to Reuben as he's reading. And you see them kind of bring the little spark of joy back to him, which I like that like their little Claire de Lune reminiscing bleeds into that. And but I do think, I don't know if this is a criticism or not. I can't decide whether I like it or not. I feel like this is a little early in the movie to bring Reuben back to life.
Well, it's a slow build, right? Because he doesn't fully come back to the very end. But you have, like, he can't just, like, wake up one day and not be catatonic. There has to be a build up to that. Yeah,
I almost just think if this same scene happened a little bit later, and then we got, like, the immediate delivery where he walks into the casino on heist night. And I don't know if it's almost like literally if you just drag this scene somewhere else in the timeline, if it maybe wouldn't play a little better.
It's not even that long of a timeline though, because this is a very short heist, again, similar to 11, where they're only like a couple weeks out from July. Like it's already summer. It's already hot when you first see it. So
I just mean in the structure of the movie though, where like I wonder if it wouldn't work better. I don't even know, but it feels a little.
It's a weird placement for you.
Yeah, I like its placement behind. It's almost like it works so good following that scene with Clooney and Pitt that like you'd have to move that scene too.
Yes,
it's like I'm seeing myself in the editing room, like just trying to figure out like where I would want it to be, and I don't know that if there is a better spot for it. Well, and I do like that they don't leave Reuben completely out of the movie.
Right.
I feel like I remember having that fear coming into this one because I was like, man, like Reuben's such a fun character.
So he's taken out of the game.
Yeah. Well, the same thing I kind of felt about Frank in 12, where it's just like he's kind of out of it, which is such a waste.
No.
He's not as wasted. Even though he is out of it for like that first, I would say the first third maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I feel like he wakes up a little sooner. But if he didn't, then I would be robbed of Reuben. So it's like I'm able to bury it in the end.
Okay. Well, let's not bury Reuben, though.
No, of course not.
So then we have all of that going on. The last thing is that we need Abigail in the room to
not only that
to give access to the vault.
Yes, but first we also have to get Frank in the casino.
Frank in the casino.
And the cell phone. So you going back to Frank and Livingston and
in the
Yen
room.
as they were hanging out at some point prior here, and they're spying on Bank through the seismograph, and they find out that he's real salty about not getting this stupid golden Samsung phone. And so they get the idea that, well, that'll be the magnetron.
Well, but Yen says, I used to bowl with the owner of Samsung.
Okay. Oh, see, I didn't catch that. Okay.
Because Frank says, he said something about bowling. What did he say? And Livingston said he said that he used to bowl with the owner of Samsung. Mm. And Frank was like, well, absolutely, call Danny about that. Let get him on the phone. Yeah.
So they get a model of that to plant that. And Frank also says at this point, also, I have a good, tell Danny I know who we can use as the shill for getting enough set in.
Yes.
And we cut to the great Benedict's crowning moment.
And then Benedict gets to play the game too.
Yeah.
And we get the great scene of Benedict and Danny in the same way that he kind of preps everybody before a scene, like how he preps Saul in 11.
Oh, yeah.
Where he was like,
True.
Hyping
him up. Are you ready to do this? Yeah.
And it's the same kind of question because he's like trying on a suit and Danny says, are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Or whatever, which is what he said to Saul in the first one.
Yeah.
And instead of it being like Saul fully in character, it's Terry's arrogantly saying, I was born ready.
Fully in character. I was born ready.
And then you see Danny just roll his eyes.
Yeah, he's so annoyed with it, but he's also, there's this element that he is the perfect guy to do this.
He's the only guy who can do this. So because they get under each other's skin because they have history too, Bank and Terry.
Yeah, no, they have a good, like, frenemy chemistry that I almost wish there was more of.
Yeah. We don't get as much backstory on this, which we don't get as much backstory. What was the other frenemy that we did? Terry and Clooney, and Danny. So same vibes almost.
That's what I mean. Is like, it's like you get. I'd almost want more of them. But anyway, Benedict shows, or Frank is doing a demonstration of his little domino game, tricks Bank into buying into it. Benedict shows up to be like, well, if you don't want it, I'll buy it. And they get into this dick measuring contest over who's going to get the rights to this bullshit game that Frank's come up with.
Oh, yeah.
To get Frank into the casino on the opening night or whatever.
Right.
And what I like about this is there's almost a moment here where it seems like Benedict is so in character as himself that he would screw it up and be like, no, I want it. And he'd start actually.
Well, because you see him like blink and sort of give Frank this like acknowledgement where he's like, I could win. I need somebody to acknowledge that I could win.
Yeah, well, he's so happy to be involved, but it almost is like he would forget it was a heist for a second and just keep trying to get it from Bank just to get it.
Because that's just who he is as a person.
Yeah, it's just this one-upmanship type of dude, but he sells it. Bank buys it like an idiot.
Well, now it's like we've handled all of the issues. So
we've got the earthquake ready to go.
We go back to the room. We got to go back to the room. Mm-hmm. The drill. So they're sitting around talking about, where they're still talking about the diamonds. We're still not sure about the diamonds.
Yes.
But the whole time we're not sure about the diamonds, I think.
There's no way to sneak. They try to go through the vents. They figure out they can't do it through the vents. They've exhausted every like sneaky angle that they could possibly get in there with. None of it's going to work. Linus suggests, well, hey, Abigail, in my disguise as Yin's little manservant, Abigail is taking a liking to me. She's a bit of a cougar.
He's like, I'm in there like swimwear. I'm in there.
Yeah, and Danny's like, well, maybe we should send Rusty. Maybe we should send mid-2000s heartthrob Brad Pitt. That seems like the obvious choice. But Linus is insistent he can do it. They're like, okay.
Brad Pitt breaks character again, is just grinning in the background.
He's having a blast. He's having a little bit more fun in this one. But they still suggest that Linus will need like a pheromone enhancer thingy to like get the job done. So he's like, all right, whatever.
And Basher joking, or I don't even think jokingly, he's like, can I get one of those too? And Livingston goes, you won't need it.
Yeah.
But in that scene, Rusty comes in and says, hey man, they've got this strike to close the deal. He called one of his ex-flings, situationships, entanglements, if you will.
Oh, regarding the strike and stuff. Yeah, they end up determining that the best way to do the strike is just to pay them off.
Right, and so they tell Terry, I'm sure you can appreciate, paying him off. And he goes, yeah, well, how much is it? And he goes, $36,000. And then they start doing some math, and they're like, all right, so that would be about $7 million. He goes, $36,000 total.
Oh, yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, they were fighting for scraps this whole time.
And Frank goes, you mean $3.50 a week? That's what they're fighting for? And yeah, that's it. That's all they need.
So they do. They get the factory back online. The brothers mix in this little magnet powder or whatever
to load the dice.
Yeah, they've got these lighters that'll work with them, that'll activate it, that'll trigger whatever roll they want.
So that's the craps. Blackjack is pretty much done with Livingston and Roman. Roulette is done with the loaded balls, which they've already done with the pit boss
because he's their inside guy.
Yep. Slots is done with Eugene.
Yep.
Frank is set with the dominoes. So all the money is taken care of. The casino is done. The next thing, the 5 diamond guy is done because that poor dude is
screwed. Yep.
Is absolutely screwed. And then the last thing is the diamonds.
Which they determine, which again, Linus is like, well, I'll just seduce Abigail. We'll get up there somehow or another.
And so that takes Linus out of the game as far as he is supposed to be playing this part the whole time with the nose.
Yes. Yeah, he's committed. He's convinced the nose will play.
And he's supposed to get the nose from the villa to the diamond case, the penthouse suite.
Right.
Which he does with his pheromone thing. Which, by the way, I don't think it's just pheromones because that girl was...
Oh, she was into him to begin with a little bit.
But how is she just falling over? Is she not drugged?
It is a drug of some kind. The idea, it's movie magic. Again, this is stupid movie, the same way that Livingston's a master hacker.
I'm thinking it through
all this
too
crap.
Much.
Yeah, no, it's just movie stuff. Don't worry about it.
All right, so he goes up.
So we get to opening night at this point.
Yes, we get to opening night.
Clooney's...
Oh, the last thing is that Denny, the insurance guy, and he is told this from the very beginning.
Yeah.
He said you're supposed to walk out 2 weeks prior, and you're supposed to take 24 people with you. You're supposed to get all of your buddies to walk out because he's the one who knows all the people.
Yeah.
So he gets Denny to walk out. Denny has taken all these people with him. They're back at some sort of event. I don't remember what
it's a sumo wrestling thing is that the opening night is centered around. Danny walks in with all those guys, with all these high rollers that he stole out from Underbank.
And Willy all but begs him to get these high rollers to come hang out and play, get them to stay.
Yeah, well, and this is kind of, again, a little heist within a heist, is Bank is like, well, I'll give you 20% of whatever they make if you leave them here, or whatever it is.
Yes.
And it was so Danny's like, all right, well, sure, okay, I'll take 20% of whatever they make tonight, knowing they're going to make a shit ton.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So then that's set, and then finally the Mexican brother of... So there was
one of the strikers down
of the strikers
south,
in Mexico
is working the computer
system
room or something or other.
Because when Livingston is taken by the FBI,
right? So Livingston is deliberately busted for fixing machines,
just so they can fix. They can have all the machines replaced with the fixed machines.
With the actual fixed machines. Yeah, Nagel comes in with the actual fixed machines. The slots are ready to go. So Livingston is carted off, and he's done. Mm-hmm. But in the process, he is fingerprinted. So Bank's security people start sending the security. They pull up all of his known associates and stuff. So they start getting their FBI records or whatever it is sent up to Bank. So they have to do a quick change switcheroozy. Mm-hmm. Saul calls up his
his hot girlfriends that he just happens to have.
Girlies he happens to know. They distract the Fender Rhodes, who is a motorcycle dude, Evil Knievel type, who's performing this opening stunt to event or whatever.
Right.
They distract him, get his uniform. Excuse me. Dump him. It's my favorite scene. I'm excited.
I guess
they get it to Basher while they send Basher in
an American flag jumpsuit.
Yeah, full evil.
I think it's a leather jumpsuit, to tell you the truth.
Full evil. What's great about this too is before you see it is there's a bit where the camera glances down to this like
oh yeah, the accents.
Yeah, this book on accents, which is a great just in joke into Don Cheadle's accent work in these movies, or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. Yeah, no, because it's the worst Southern accent I've ever heard.
Yeah, he also has the line in 12 where he's talking to Julia Roberts, and he's just like, the accent is the most important part of this, which is...
You have to have the accent.
Yeah, that's the thing. So he goes in, so they don't have a hacker anymore. Livingston's out of the picture at this point. So they rely on Virgil to adjust all the photos of the known associates that they've sent in.
And of course, as we know with Virgil, Turk is never far behind.
Yep.
It's also kind of a miracle that Virgil gets to go down to Mexico by himself.
It is surprising. Yeah, no, they had to be reunited at some point.
Yeah.
So they have great banter, just great writing in this scene between the two of them. While Basher distracts Bank.
He's in real time editing these photos to look nothing like them, so that they can fly under the radar.
I just love
and changing the names.
I love Basher in this scene so much. He's just like, what did Chuck Berry say every night before 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Pay me more money.
In forward.
In cash. That's my favorite part. I want to start saying that all the time. In cash.
Okay.
I love it. I'm a goddamn
American icon. There you go.
Fender Rhodes moment. Fantastic. So super over the top. Lasts like 2 minutes, and they're done. And they get this. So great, just triple play here between Saul, between Basher, between Virgil. Again, just the great, strange. They find such fun ways to like combine these characters' skill sets and stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And ultimately, we get to the heist. Linus is upstairs in the diamond room.
So they've averted the crisis that was Livingston's arrest.
Yes.
Linus is seducing, has managed to get Abigail upstairs to the pent. Not only do they start out in the villa, but he's like, "There's somewhere else we can take this." So she gets him up to the.
I can't get caught.
She gets him up to the thing,
which he does so well, by the way. It's just his like, I can't. Like his just I can'ts are really good.
I love this too because he does such a good just switch in the play here where he's putting on a pretty good confident little performance for her, and then like the second that she turns around, like Linus comes back into being Linus. You know what I mean? And he's like immediately he can't sip the freaking wine because his nose is in the way.
Yes.
There's so many just great little
champagne. His nose won't fit in the champagne's flute.
Yeah, just little jokes peppered throughout this whole bit. What else is going on? There's so many moving parts to this.
So Linus is upstairs. Yeah. Clooney, Rusty, Frank are all on the casino floor. Oh, and the pit boss.
The pit boss.
The paid off pit boss.
The pit boss starts distributing the loaded dice and the loaded balls.
Yes.
Clooney and Pitt are lined up along with Frank to basically start the 3 minute 20-second winning streak that's going to go throughout this whole thing. Pitt starts to kick it off.
Well, so you see after Virgil gets the thing done, after he gets the facial recognition stuff done, or the known associates and fixes the faces, he goes, all right, now it's up to Rusty's up now. And then you pan over to Rusty, who is he's on the phone, I believe with...
I think it is Livingston.
There's no way because Livingston's detained.
He's not really detained, though.
I guess Livingston is...
I think it is Livingston. I
believe so.
I could be misremembering. But yeah, but either way, he gives him some code to basically do the...
which is like put in 3 coins, put in 5 coins, put in something.
Whatever, to trigger the hack on the slots. So he leaves that, not for himself, but for like the next person that comes over.
And he sits there and he waits until someone who I'm pretty sure he feels needs it, is there to win.
Seems like a normal girl.
Yes. That's triggered. We go and now we pan down underneath the floor into the Greco into Greco, the guy.
The guy, yeah. Greco's
monitoring
down here,
his system, the Greco.
Right.
Hate.
Where the system reads her reaction as genuine, and he's like, well, I approve the payout. You know, it seems right according to the body temperature readings and all that.
Yen is the last person on the floor. Yen walks into the...
You're right, yeah. Yen shows up as Mr. Wang.
Right.
And also...
And he goes to roulette.
I think so.
and then that gets approved pre-shutdown.
The girls' winnings.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. That Rusty rigged for her.
And then we get into...
How does Bank get back down to the security room, though? I'm trying to remember exactly
the beginning hit of the earthquake with the drill.
Yeah.
Virgil and Turk are down with the drill. They do plan A, which is the initial hit. It doesn't even really rattle anything as far as anybody on the floor.
Yeah, it's a momentary like, oh, that was odd, and then they go back to plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So that it barely even causes a stir, honestly.
Yeah.
But Willy, having been put the fear of God in him with the seismograph that is sitting in his office, runs down.
That's it. You're right. Yeah.
With the phone that has the magnetron on
in
it.
Yeah.
And goes down and is like, did the earthquake
that fuck it up at all? Is it still running? And he's like, no, that's fine. It should be we need something way worse to trigger it than that.
And then he receives a phone call while he's in there.
Yes, okay.
And Greco says, how in the hell are you receiving phone calls? Because there's no service down here.
Right.
And he goes, no,
not with this phone. He brags about it.
And it's the arrogance. It's
Yeah.
the arrogance
Yeah.
every time. So then he's down there with the magnetron.
Yeah.
Frank is upstairs, and you are led to believe that earthquake, that small one, was supposed to be it, but it wasn't. And this is why you're led to believe it, because Frank
right.
says over the comms, Plan A did not work.
Plan A didn't. Yeah.
On to the next.
You're right. I didn't even catch that the first one is a deliberate fake out to get him down there.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
So then you get into the second one, which is pretty close afterwards. The magnetron starts shutting down the Greco.
Right, when this triggers the 3-minute, 20-second
3 minutes and
win streak. Well, what I love, too, is Pacino goes like, everybody up to their pockets. Who's got a magnetron? It's like, you do, you dumbass. And Greco knows that.
Yeah.
Greco's like, he's not there for a whole lot of time, but he also has this smugness to him.
Yeah, he immediately knows.
That he does a good job of also just being like, man, you sell out
type
of guy, so it's fun to see him also just be pissed off.
You classless piece of shit.
That because it's his pride. He designed this super dope system,
and it's been fucked up by
and so he knows
this man's arrogance.
Right. So he also has a pride stab here that hurts.
Yes.
The two of them both, and they're looking at each other through the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So this win streak kicks off, which is a great sequence.
Yes.
Probably the most satisfying, fun sequence maybe across this whole trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Of just seeing Pitt, Clooney, Yen, just everybody, Frank, just reveling in.
They're having fun with it.
Yeah.
They're enjoying every second of it.
It's this shared, and again, the fun part of it too is they're not the ones that are getting any of this money. Is that it is spread.
They're getting some, but they're not getting
to
all
the masses.
It's spread around everybody.
Well, and it's fun to see them kind of feed into the energy too, and be like, "Oh, let's go, guys!" you know? They're cheering on all these high rollers and stuff. And man, just what a sequence! You see the amounts piling up. They do the thing where they just overlay the text over everything. I love that they cut to Greco silently counting it down. They don't let him speak. They just let the music play over it. So it's just a completely.
You just see him say you mouth 2 minutes, 1 minute,
2 minutes, and it feels so long.
It is.
I'll have to go back and see if it is like a real time thing. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but who knows. But it's so satisfying. They just let the music it's that classic Ocean's 11, just upbeat jazz. Man, I don't know. They just let that scene breathe.
Yes.
The whole movie's been building to this big fuck you to Bank in this moment. He's powerless to watch.
Oh, and by the way, Rusty has been late to start the slot machines because the last thing is that somebody's at the blackjack table. Who's at the blackjack table?
I don't know.
Why was Rusty late?
I forget. Oh, right. Oh, he brings in.
There you
You're
go.
right. Oh, jeez, I forgot.
The ruffled shirt.
Right. I forgot about, again, I'm so caught up in the heist. The emotional delivery of this whole thing is Clooney's like, where's Rusty before all this happens? And Rusty's like, back in range, had to go pick up another guest or whatever. And we see Ruben is
Last minute edition.
alive and well. He's here to watch the show. He sits down.
He's
at
here
the
to
table.
play with the show too.
Yeah,
because he gets a stack of money from this too.
Yeah, he's here to get what he wants out, what he can out of it as well. And he's just
He's just grinning.
This is
table.
what I mean is that like if you take out the earlier Ruben scene is like, I wonder how much more impactful would it be if like we don't see him again until this moment.
It would be more of a surprise factor, but it would be an out of the blue surprise factor.
I don't know if that wouldn't be more or less satisfying. It's like I could almost take it either way.
I see.
Part of me just sees the edit in my head where like we don't see Ruben again until Pitt walks in with him, and maybe it's ever so slightly more triumphant. I don't know though.
I don't know if it is because the emotion of his triumphant return is in those letters.
Yeah, I do think the build up to it is quiet and only a few scenes. It's just enough scenes to be. I don't know. It is just right.
Yes.
But I don't know.
So while they're doing that, Linus is upstairs putting something underneath the four corners or the 4 points of this circular.
The little diamond display thing.
Case.
Yeah. What's her face is having Sponder? Oh yeah, she's a great performance from her.
She fucked up.
She actually sells the comedy of this very well. Yeah, she is absolutely frosted. Oh my god.
And then she spills wine on Linus's pants. And she's like, we have to take these off to set to get the stain out. And he's like, it's white wine. We don't need to do any of this.
Right.
And he's like shying away from it. And she's on her knees.
He's lost his own plot here. Yeah.
In a very compromising looking position.
Literally caught with his pants down as the quote unquote FBI enter the room. Identify him as a thief and stuff. He takes off his nose. She's super embarrassed because she's just compromised everything.
Yes.
And they're like, don't worry about it, ma'am. We got it from here. Whatever. They carry him off. And we find out this FBI guy is who we've been building up to a little bit this whole trilogy. Daddy Caldwell.
Which, by the way, I was telling you this while we were watching. The raspy voice does it for me.
Interesting. See, I can't remember what this actor's name is. He's another one that's been in things, but it's not
Bob Einstein.
He's one of those that I recognize, but I couldn't tell you a movie he's been in. But I almost would have liked the Peter Fonda casting that was supposed to be in 12.
It would have been fun.
A little bit more.
But I like that he's this tall, imposing guy because I don't think that Peter Fonda is quite as tall or imposing as a person.
He looks like he could have been Damon's dad too.
Yeah.
They have a strange kind of, they have that same like
facial structure,
rectangle head.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm okay with it. But he's like, I'm just glad your mother wasn't here to see this, and he gives him back his nose.
Well, and we get the reveal from Miss Sponder actually, and she's like, "Thank you, Agent Caldwell."
Agent Caldwell. He's operating under his own name this whole time.
And you sit there and you're like, if you catch it, you're like, "Damn, that's him," because you were worried for Livingston. You were worried that the whole jig would be up because you are emotionally invested in getting this heist done. You were emotionally invested in getting this whole thing done.
This is pretty much the only. There's always a moment in these where it's like, oh shoot, everything's ruined. It's like in 12, it's when his mom catches them. And it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, same here, same vibes. In 11,
in 11, it's maybe when like Clooney is captured and in the closet or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, but it's earlier on, but they have more to sell in 11 than any of these other ones. Yeah,
but this one, only because I remember this one a little better than I do the other ones, because I did like it more. I never felt the heist was in any danger.
No.
And maybe that's only because I maybe have watched this one a bit more than the others.
Yes.
Or I remember it more.
As a first-time watcher, Bobby Caldwell is scary.
Okay. Gotcha. That's the one thing I didn't detect in this compared to like 12, where like I kind of forgot that was his mom for a second for a couple scenes, because again I don't remember 12 at all. So, or even in 11, you forget for a moment that Bruiser and he's on their side.
Yeah.
So, but I could see this being.
Oh, he makes an appearance in the casino scenes because he gets a little cash out too.
But I do remember as a kid seeing this one for the first time and being a little worried about Daddy Caldwell and stuff. And being like, oh man. And they do sell it too, I guess, if I am a first-time viewer. They sell it with the Livingston thumbprint.
Yes.
Wrench, because that is an actual wrench.
That is an actual wrench.
That's thrown into it. That isn't just a for show thing that they were smart enough. They do improvise a fix for it.
Yes.
But it is an accidental wrench that they didn't count on.
Right. So then he gives him back his nose. And he just waits for the elevator doors to close, and you're immediate. So the suspense is short lived. I think
it's a little too compared to the incredibly long, drawn out interrogation of Mama Caldwell. In 12, this one is like a scene.
Well, then you get a little bit more when you get to the roof, and you've got Toulour hanging out and coming out in a very Clouseau styled jumpsuit. Which I don't understand, to call back to Steve Martin for your gray hair episode.
Yeah. Thanks.
Which, by the way...
He's a little grayer in this one, too.
Yeah.
Toulour is.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a French thing or if that's how we like to depict the French, but they like to wear basically morph suits in the style of the pattern of whatever wall is by them, because Clouseau has a morph suit.
I didn't even notice that. That he kind of mimics the gold part of the tower. And
yes,
stuff.
The gold and the red and the even the lines on it.
Wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
but I think that this is the one big disappointment for me. I think of the movie is Toulour, because I think he was a good part of 12. He was one of the better parts of 12. I think we talked about it, where like the best parts of 12 are the two characters that join.
Right.
That are Isabel and Toulour. So we don't have Isabel in this one. So, all right, we have Toulour, next best thing. And Allegedly. And this is really, we've seen him lurking in the background before.
Yep.
But he hasn't had any lines or anything. And I think his only line pretty much is, like, give me the diamonds.
Yeah.
And his little curse out later when he finds out they're fake. But I almost would have preferred, maybe not necessarily but in addition to, like, Nagel and Benedict and stuff coming along, Toulour being one of the ones to join. I would have liked...
No, because their beef isn't settled.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I understand that.
He's still pissed. He was bested, and in the same way that Benedict was pissed in 12 and only came around to 13 because there was an additional enemy. The enemy of my enemy was my friend.
Yeah, but I think that would have made the double cross... I guess it's like you could have only had one of them. The fact that they're working together too, I talked about this last episode too, where I don't like that he and Benedict are working together, because I think it diminishes
him,
Toulour's character.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the sense that he works alone. That's the great thing about him in 12, is that he alone challenges all 11, and he's like, I am better than 11 of you. I'm not just better than Danny Ocean. I'm better than 11 of you. And then he's just sides.
But he's not.
No, but then he just sides with Benedict and becomes like the second to him. And I'm sure, he obviously has his own motivations. He wants to best them and stuff, but it still makes him reliant on another party, which I don't think is in character with how he's presented in 12. Which I guess, again, wouldn't make him allying.
It is in character. I got a theory.
All right, sure. Here we go.
every episode.
Get out the corkboard.
The red yarn is here to stay.
Yep.
He is bored, and we were told this in 12. He is rich. He is bored. He is lonely.
Correct.
He doesn't have a wife. He just has consorts, basically. Mm-hmm. So what else is he going to do? He just wants friends, really. And so...
So he went after Benedict as a friend?
And he's already worked with Benedict in 12. 13...
Well, he got Benedict to work for him.
Yes, but they're already colleagues. Like that's.
I guess.
So making the jump from colleagues to friends is very. Well, and then you see him at the end
friends,
of no,
but you see him at the end of the 12 and stuff.
And he's casing Benedict, which there obviously was an interaction from that, because now he's working for it switches, and he's working for Benedict.
Yeah.
So something happened.
I just think it would have been more interesting if he was working with the 11 and still double-crossed them at the end.
I absolutely agree. It would have been more interesting, but I don't know if it makes more sense.
No, yeah. I mean, I guess as I'm talking about it, and like I still don't think him working for Benedict makes much sense either, because he is a solo act, and if he was working with the 11, that would also kind of go against how I think of his character anyway.
You just like him as a White Fang.
Yeah, well, I like him as a rival. And I also think with 12, other than the laser scene, we don't see him do any thieving. We hear about it. That's kind of the weird thing about 12. that we like about these movies, that these movies are good at telling and showing us things at the same time, and rewarding us for what we're shown and pay very good attention to.
Yeah, and he's done none of that in 12.
Yeah, it's like we're told that the Night Fox is really great, and technically we're shown like the aftermath of his little figurines and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're never shown him doing anything cool other than his little laser dance. And in this one, he jumps off a building, which is cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But if he was like the 12th member in this one, maybe he would have been able to do some cool stuff. Maybe we would have seen the Night Foxing, and that would have been interesting. And so I feel like across both movies he shows up in, we're a little bit robbed of whatever it is that's supposed to make him so cool.
Right.
Granted, he still comes across as very cool. He could have been cooler.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a wasted character potential.
Yes.
For me, for Talur. But I do like there's still a bit of the honor among thieves element when he draws the gun on Linus. And Linus, and he tosses him the diamonds, and he jumps off the building, and Linus goes, "Really, a gun?" And he finds that it is empty.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, I can't decide if that is, it's technically dishonorable. It technically ties into the fact that he is like not on the same level as them, but the fact that it wasn't loaded still characterizes him as like not the worst person ever.
Oh yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like he's still as unserious.
Yes.
And non-threatening.
Well, because he's
as they
bored.
are.
He just wants to have friends that play with him.
Yeah. But even that, I feel, is kind of like a betrayal of not even necessarily his character as it is, but as his character as it could have been.
Sure.
I guess. So he gets away, supposedly with the diamonds.
But then Basher comes in with the helicopter.
Right. Lifts
the whole thing out.
The entire case out. And then, meanwhile, the hotel is being evacuated because of the evacuation plan that they trapped Bank into making.
Right.
Clooney meets him outside. We get the great villain-hero confrontation.
Yep. Again, never the person that they're actually really mad with.
Yeah, like, because he's Ruben's villain, technically.
Yes.
So, again, and it's Ocean's 11.
Sure.
It's Ocean. You know, he has to be the one to deliver this.
Sure.
This final nail in the coffin.
Yes.
Great scene between the two of them. This is kind of the most menace, I'd say, we get out of Bank, where he's like, I'm still whatever handicap in golf, you know.
Yeah, I'm still a 2 handicap.
I'll have you hunted down, you know, whatever. Like, I know people, you know. He has this, but again, that jazzy Ocean's music is playing in the background.
Right.
The helicopter's taken off. Clooney's smug ass smile is right there in front of you.
Yes.
And there's nothing. You know, Pacino has nothing here. Bank has nothing. And I love Clooney's line. Great writing, talking of like production and stuff. Just great writing when he's like, I know the guys that you would send after me. They like me more than you. Yes. Which I think is a great, like, charisma being his highest stat.
Yes.
You know, in D&D terms.
Yes.
Where it's just
but like he's already shown it to Banks in the
by pulling all those high rollers away from him and
yes.
stuff. Yeah, like they're my friends now, not yours, dude.
Yes.
You have nothing.
Right.
And also, and again, he references the "You shook Sinatra's hand."
You should know better.
You should know exactly.
You should have known we were coming after you. We gave you full on fucking warning.
Yeah, and you should. And again, and going back to like, you know, like they like me better than you. It's just like I'm a gentleman's gentleman. I keep my word.
Right.
I honor my promises.
Yep.
I look after my friends.
Yep.
That's why I beat you.
Yep.
You have nobody. I have
everybody.
11. You know, that's what it is.
And then to close out the whole
and the
thing,
helicopter goes, well, the helicopter.
To close up that whole scene,
yes.
It's the real fuck you, because he's like, I still have my diamonds. And then you watch the diamonds fly away.
My diamonds.
And it's a really great scene, cinematography-wise.
Yeah.
Just a good shot. Because you have the shot looking up at it, going overhead.
It's the lack
and then
of
you have
subtlety.
the shot looking down at him.
Yeah, just his eyes. It's the lack of subtlety, because like the rest of the time, and I guess that they haven't really all been all that subtle.
No.
I guess the other ones.
No.
But this is the most egregious they get with it, where they're literally flying away with like a 2-ton thing full of diamonds, right? In broad moonlight, so to speak.
Right.
Oh man. And then we cut to kind of this version of the
Toulour scene.
Well, first we get Toulour. Toulour doesn't get the diamonds. He realizes they're fake. He cusses in French. We move on. Now we see the group before fireworks.
Oh yeah.
Remember, we get that's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Is we got Sinatra playing over everything. I don't like this one as much. It's just hard to beat the fountain scene. It's from the first one.
Yeah.
It's unbeatable, and it's fine. It's kind of like a quick little. We got to do a version of the fountain scene. It feels a little obligatory. It's last. I feel like I wish it was a bit more. I wish they just done it again almost.
Yeah.
But whatever. But then we cut to.
No, because then you take away from the gravity of the first one.
Yeah.
You can't redo it.
Well, I think this one ends on a more subtle note, which we'll get to. You describe it as a graduation, and I'll let you get into that in a second here.
Okay, so the next thing though is
the Benedict punchline.
Is the Benedict punchline, which no scene wasted.
Right, going back to Oprah.
So Danny walks in to Benedict's office and tells him that his cut of the winnings. He said something about he confronts him about Toulour.
Oh, he's like, how did you
think that we wouldn't fucking notice that Toulour has been tailing us this whole time?
Yeah, we've been following Toulour, and he's like, how'd you know you screwed me? And how'd you know you would screw me? I was like, of course we know. It's like, because I'm you.
Because I'm me and you're you.
Yeah. Again, great. I wish there was more. I wish there was more of Danny and Terry, because they have such
They understand each other too well for there not to be more. I've come around to your theory.
There's an element where they are the true villain and hero that tie this whole trilogy together, and it does kind of this scene is a good button on that whole relationship just from the beginning.
Yes.
From the first movie.
Right.
We're like throughout no matter what happens in each movie, Benedict comes around as like some variant of the final boss.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? One way or another, Benedict will get his.
Yes.
And Danny will be.
Well, and it's still the ruthless thing. It's still the ruthless thing.
Doesn't let it go.
Yes. So you cut to the scenes of, because we don't see Frank do a whole lot in this one at first, and I did write that down. I was like, where the hell is Frank?
Yeah.
And then it's because Frank is doing recon on Toulour, doing recon on them.
Yeah.
So Frank is still doing his job from 11.
Always, again, like we talked about the Malloys also being like very significant in this one. Mm-hmm. Like Frank, likewise, is throughout all of them except 12, unfortunately, is the recon guy.
Yes,
he's taken in notes that they otherwise could not do any of this without.
Well, and so you see him do it a little bit with the seismograph footage,
right? Yeah,
but it becomes more apparent in this reveal of following Toulour.
Well, and this is probably
because the whole time you see Toulour following them, but you don't clock. There is no even hint that they are clocking that Toulour.
Noticed him, yeah. Which makes it kind of funny is that they know he's there, they don't even care. They're like, all right, we'll deal with this when we come to it. We're prepared for it.
Right.
Not even gonna worry about you right now.
100%.
Which this is probably the worst this movie gets about like those. They always have those weird retroactive moments where it's just like the backpack flashback type bullshit. Where it's like, if you go back and look at this. And it's like, okay, movie, you're so smart. I like that this one is just they spotted him.
Yes.
That's as like complicated as it gets.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And to bring it back full circle, bleed the bank dry.
Mm-hmm.
They instead of giving, so remember Terry said that he wanted his investment doubled.
Right.
They double it. They give him the $72 million.
Yeah.
They don't give it to him.
No.
They put it towards charity. Yeah. And it's an Oprah charity of giving.
It's like a camp for foster kids.
Camp for foster kids.
Like that. Yeah.
And it's 200 foster kids.
Yeah. Oh, and Clooney has the line, or Terry has the line. He's like, is this supposed to be funny? And Clooney just slams the door on him. It's like, well, sure as shit ain't sad, Terry.
Well, Terry, it sure as shit ain't sad.
He's so mad there, too. He's just like, dude, just do the right fucking thing for once. He takes this personally because he just likes Oprah. Too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He's like, it's a good cause.
Well, because he's like, he doesn't have to be defensive about his crying. He is kind of, but he's not like fully defensive with Rusty.
He's owned it. He's owning it a little bit.
But with Terry, they're not fucking friends. He's not owning shit with Terry.
No. Yeah. So it cuts to Terry on Oprah bullshitting his way.
So uncomfortable.
It's like, why this charity specifically? Oh, you just look in the eyes of a kid and you know.
He goes, it knows.
It knows. Yeah. He's just so. But we see the three mains here, the three leads watching this on television. We see Damon, Pitt, and Clooney. Mm-hmm. And Damon has fully joined, like, aesthetically, the other two. Is he's got like the
shades,
he's got the button
suit.
down, the suit, the shades.
He's no longer in t-shirts and khakis.
Yeah, he has this confidence and poise to him, and he's like, my dad's got a part for me in this job, so I'm taking off.
And you see both the shock and respect on Danny and Rusty's faces when they congratulate him.
Yeah, doing some good acting behind those shades, we'll say.
Yes, because you don't see their eyes.
Right. Yeah.
So the whole face does the acting for you, and it does it well. They do it well.
Yeah.
And then they start to peel off, and the final Susan B. Anthony, our poor afflicted man, is finally made
our
whole.
Diamond Review guy is, yeah. So he's at the slots. Rusty's at the slots. And Danny even says something to him. He's like, hey, make sure you take care of that. He's like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
And this is such a strange note to end this trilogy on, to me. But I like it. I can't explain why, but I think it's because it's so
Triumphant.
It's quietly triumphant. It's like,
yeah, it's not smug the way that 12 is.
No, this is another day for them.
Yeah.
It's this idea that Rusty,
this is who they are.
Rusty leaves like a coin or whatever on the thing for the guy. He's like, try this one. The guy does it, wins 11 million because they saw it suggested earlier it was going to be 10 million. They did cough up the extra million for him. Rusty walks away just super casually and cool. It's just that Pitt coolness.
Yep.
But it's the casualness, again, the casual coolness that just pervades all these movies. That, they just robbed $11 million real quick. And just walked off.
Yeah.
Into the sunset.
And they didn't even do it for themselves.
Didn't even do it. Yeah, which is the extra layer that really heightens this one. Is there's a Robin Hood element. There's a revenge Robin Hood element to this one that I think makes it more exciting.
Absolutely.
Because again, it strikes that perfect balance between the emotional stakes being that wouldn't work as well without the other two, establishing the relationships and kind of the love you have for these characters and their love for each other and stuff. Like it definitely does not work on its own. And I think it especially works if you do watch all these back to back. But it's the perfect marriage of the emotional relationship and motivation that comes with Reuben and with the idea that they're robbing to distribute that wealth to just a bunch of random people that happen to be there. Yeah. And the complexity, but also easy to follow and the fun of the heist. It's the perfect marriage between those two elements that up until this point have been
rocky,
imbalanced across the other two.
Yeah. Well, and in the same way that Linus has graduated from the Ocean series, so has Soderbergh.
Yeah. He puts a perfect button on the end of this thing.
Yeah.
And he could have gone out, I guess, when talking to this last scene and just going on this moment of just like a random guy wins it, Brad Pitt walks away.
Yeah.
He could have gone out on like a fountain scene or something a little more
on the fireworks scene,
heightened or emotional or whatever. But it's the casual coolness. He's like, I'm going out on just like a one-off.
Because we could have panned back to Reuben, smiling, in the house.
Yeah, or even like focused instead on Pitt, but Pitt just walks out of frame.
Yeah.
So it's I don't need to do something cool.
No.
The movie's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
Pitt's cool. He's gone.
Yes.
Movie's over. Go home.
Right. So, okay. Here we go. Plot. 5 out of 5.
I'll give this one a 4.
Why?
Only because
my bad. That one came out.
You're upset about it? Yeah. Only because I think the plot is
Talor? Is Talur your one?
It's not just Talur. It's the fact that I do think there's a retreat back to the familiar.
Okay.
Back when we come back to Vegas, it's like, well, we didn't do great with Europe. Let's just do what we liked, what we did good the first time, and do Vegas. So there's a little bit of like not necessarily wanting to challenge yourself as much with something a little different setting, different type of heist. It's like we're back to casinos.
Okay.
That being said, it does everything the first one did better.
Yeah.
It still builds on all of that.
Yep.
It still does what is familiar to you, but in a way that is more exciting. Like I said, it merges the two things that have been in conflict up to this point, and it's a straightforward revenge plot.
Okay.
And that's also the emotional stakes are simple but satisfying.
All right. I'd give it a 5.
Okay.
I think everything is wrapped up in a nice, pretty bow. I think Talur, and I think this is more to his actor, Vincent Cassel. I think this is more to his play or to his performance than it is to the character. I think the character was written to be very one-dimensional, and Talur brought so much color to it that that he ended up being a favorite for us. So I don't think that should detract from the plot writing.
Sure. That's a point for performance as well.
Right, and that is a point for performance. But as far as plot is concerned, I appreciate the peacemaking. I appreciate that we went so far as to become friends with Andy Garcia. I appreciate that the bromance comes to full fruition and you see Basher get his cigar from Ruben because of his letters.
Right, yeah.
But you also see that even like the twins have sort of made peace.
You see them work together.
Yes. I mean, not without its jabs.
Yeah.
But you see them come together. You see Saul really get through this one without very much hesitation at all.
Truly one of the more vengeful guys in this one. He's out for blood.
Well, because he's part of that old guard, too.
Yeah, he gets it.
Livingston get past his sweating thing.
Sure.
Yen also becomes more emotional, and you see it in the way that he's able to be guilted.
True.
Shit. Yeah. That's what he,
Yeah.
you know, because he's like, I know what you're doing. You're a shit for doing it.
Yeah.
God damn it, I love that man. Linus graduating.
Sure.
And Frank being able to do more than just start the fights and also blend in even better on recon to the point where we didn't even see him in the background.
Sure. I'll have to go back and watch if he even is in those.
I would have to watch to see again.
The little Talur scenes.
Because I forgot that he was the one who did it. In general, a fully hateable villain, and we finally get Bobby Caldwell. So I have no loose ends for the plot. So 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Performance,
again, 5. I think that's consistent throughout.
Absolutely.
Throughout
5.
all these. Even more so because I think, again, the emotions are heightened. So, like, they have a bit more work to do beyond just look cool.
Well, I mean, even in the fact that we're sitting here questioning whether or not we should add in, who the 13 is, even though, you know who the 13 are, but you're like all these minor.
Yeah, even the minor characters are stepping up, like Debbie and all these people are very satisfying to watch, and you don't discount them.
No.
As being and the guy, the diamond guy who puts in a great like suffering performance and stuff.
Yeah. Whereas you went from like the minor character, like the stripper in 11, being just like a blip, and then finally, so 5 out of 5 for me for 2.
Sure.
And then production,
I bring this one back around to a 5. I think a lot of that comes down to the music. The music is very fun and interesting.
The music saves the series in ways that,
especially in 12.
In ways that nothing else can.
Yeah, it's an immediate tone. I think it's because the dialogue in these is very quick. And this goes into production too, I guess. But their performances are very understated.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's a great script, but it's moving by so quickly, and you're learning that language so quickly
that you don't know how to feel about it.
Don't notice it.
But the music does so well of giving you an
idea. Yeah, just you're having fun, and again going back to like the 320 scene were just the quick cuts.
Yeah.
The fade overlays. There's a great scene earlier where Bank is firing a guy and the entire shot is done in like a pond.
Oh yeah.
In water. There's little things like that. The split screen effects. We get back to those. I don't remember those being very much in 12. I know they were in 11.
No,
but
12 was very different production-wise as well because, again, we don't have a lot of the establishing shots of, like, the towns that they're in, whereas...
We don't get a lot of those in this one. Like, they don't...
But we've already done Vegas.
We've done it.
So you don't have to.
Well, there's the great shot, too.
But there's the establishing shots of that hotel.
Yeah, well, I especially love when, like, the fake earthquake happens and it cuts to, like, the rest of Vegas, which is fine.
Just still.
Yeah, it's super still. And, and the stuff like the little mini Claire de Lune scene.
And those people that were in the casino, end up talking to folks at the airport or whatever, or whatever, and saying, "Did you feel that earthquake or whatever?" And then they, retroactively talk about it. But anyways.
Even the production design of the hotel itself is like fantastically gaudy.
Oh yeah,
but also class. Every one of these makes me want to just hang out in a Vegas hotel. You know what I mean? Like they just make you want to put on a tux and head down there and just hang out at the mini bar and just chill.
It's such a inspiring package.
Yeah, and taken as a like I get why you go back and watch these because I think they're a more cohesive trilogy than I think I kind of give them credit for. I was thinking before we watched this one that I was like, you could probably skip 12.
No.
And just watch 12, 11, and 13.
Because how did you get from Benedict being...
Yeah, like it requires... I mean, other than... There's little things like Talor.
And Talor and Roman. You don't know who Roman is.
There's little things like that.
They're not little.
But I don't think they're super... I'm not saying that you... my point is, yes, you do need to go watch 12 along with the others. But I don't think it's because like you need to know who Talor is or you need to know who...
No, it's for the character development. It's for the maturation of the whole
of the crew. It's more the point of 12 to me is that the 11 become the 11. In 11, they're just a crew. By the end of 12,
they're in it to win it.
They are an actual team.
Yeah.
Somewhat to that movie's detriment because again, there's no individual moments and stuff like that. They're just a unit the whole movie kind of. But come the beginning of this one, it delivers on 12's promise of them being a team, and they function as such.
Yes.
Throughout this one, to the great satisfaction of the viewer.
Right.
So yeah, it's a more cohesive trilogy than I considered.
Yeah.
I suppose.
That's what my overthinking will do for you.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, that's in the intro. We watched and we overthink.
I do it regardless, so we may as well talk about it.
Yeah. Can I ask you though? Are you tired of these?
I need a break. Yeah, I'm not watching these for a minute, but only because I like poured over the plot, like thought about it in a like what I would think
Yeah.
If I were a first time watcher.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to be objective because I can't come on here and be like, la la la, I love these.
Right.
You should love them too.
Yes, yeah.
So all in all,
good movie. Overall, like a 4.5 type deal. But yeah, no. This is it. This was Ocean's 13. This is
my last piece of trivia, just because.
Absolutely.
They did talk about for about a year.
A sequel. Oh.
It is off the table because Bernie Mac passed away.
Yeah, not long after this, like within a year.
Yeah, it was
or just over a year or so.
1 year.
What a shame. Which I think is right.
Yes.
I don't think even though you could argue like, oh, he's a very small part of it. Like, no.
No, he is not.
No.
No, he's not.
We've talked about it where he's like third in command.
And I genuinely feel that 12 would have maybe hit harder or hit better if he weren't locked up the whole time.
Yeah. No, we talked about it. Where he's really wasted in that one comparatively.
Yeah.
So, yeah. R.I.P. Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
Because
R.I.P.
Damn, like underdog.
We did lose a great one with that one. Like, for real. Excellent comedian, excellent actor. Just
enough said.
Yeah, enough said.
And that is enough said because we this episode is clocking in at like
yikes.
Yeah, long just a lot going on in this one. But anyway.
And they do it fast.
They do it faster than we do it, man. We take our time. But
yikes.
Anyway, that's our first series, guys. Welcome. We hope you've enjoyed the first 3 episodes of the Podcast of Critics.
Thank you for coming along this ride with us.
Yep, this is our first batch of movies. Our next batch, do we want to tell them, Ashley?
I'll just do a little wand movement over here.
A wand movement? Whatever could that?
That's the clue.
What could that be a reference to? A wand movement.
A sparkly wand, if you will.
A sparkly wand. Let you sit with that one for a moment.
Dun, 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 dun.
Listeners. So we'll be tuned in next time for our next series, which will come along when it comes along.
Definitely look us up on socials if you.
Yeah, we've been meaning to do that. We forgot to do that for the past 2 episodes. Is where to follow us.
We are at Podcast of Critics on Instagram,
and we're just at Cast of Critics on Twitter. I'm not calling it X. Fuck you.
Yeah. Amen.
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter till the end of time. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully, in the next couple series, we'll get some cast in here beyond just the 2 of us.
Yeah, we plan to have some guests who show up and talk about stuff.
And I guess we never talked about this. The whole concept of the Podcast of Critics is that there's an interchangeable cast with recurring guest stars and,
Yeah. So we'll have some friends on here at some point. Probably not for a little while because we want to kind of establish our flow. But until then,
if you hate us, you probably won't hate our friends.
Sure. Yeah. Only our friends hate us, but that's why they're our friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
I've been Garrett.
And I've been Ashley.
And you were listening to
Podcast of Critics. Thank you and good night.